almost caught it. I almost caught it right when it went to where it flips over again. I missed it. I almost Susan's way over here. It did the thing. It did the thing. It did the thing that it doesn't do here, which is it rained for like 36 straight hours. And then it completely stopped. And by tomorrow, not tomorrow, by Monday, you'll never be able to tell that it rained. Except I got a whole bunch of stuff done. I genuinely did. I got a whole bunch of stuff done. So, indeed, welcome back, everybody. I wonder, can I bring up my... I like to check every week when we start this. I like to check to see if I can, I can just do this. What color is my name? It's still gray. I'm still not logged into my own stuff. We may never actually figure that out. Also, only tangentially related. Thanks to the immeasurable generosity of the people that I think, in their attempt to catch Ed, with all the gift subscriptions, they all rolled off all at once. There was like 72 gifted in one day, and I had 70 roll off in one day. So, hey, at least the two of you that decided to stick around. I don't know how to turn the thing back on. That was done in OBS in one of the updates, probably when it went to the 0.1 update. It turned off my ability to do this. And I don't know how to turn it back on. There may not be any from the year. It's 8 p.m. Valentine's night, so many of us will be occupied. Yeah, my wife's at work, so Jonathan D stayed on. I wish it would make the bubble, but I don't know how. It says click this little camera icon to turn it back on. Where and how? It's not important. Bonita Creek. So when are you going to get the new 1/8 axial? If someone sends one in, I will happily test it, but I'm certainly not going to buy one. And in full truth and disclosure, the more I see of it, the less I like it. It's looking worse and worse and worse. Immediately, like right before I turned this on, I was watching the little 11-minute exo-caged video where he put a Fusion Pro in his Guillemot. It's one of those things. When you put more power into something without any other changes, you can just watch everything get worse. Like that 30% overdrive is a genuine problem. It really is. And I kid you not, you can get that vehicle to about that angle right there and it rolls over. Like 30 degrees maybe, and one tire just lifts up off the ground. So, it's, those tires were not doing it. The whole rig wasn't doing it. Oh, that's what I'm waiting to see. Who said? Mr. Massey, that is what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see some foolhardy soul put, what do we got in LP? LP ruptures or LP tusks or something on it. And now you have grip. And oh my God, then every weakness of that platform is gonna show up in Technicolor. So watch this right here. See this move right here? This is what, but I need something to hold on to. This is what the front upper links on the Guillemot look like. It looks like two skeleton hands holding joysticks. Why they are bent like this, maybe there's a motor clearance. We're driving. Maybe there's a motor clearance issue but I don't know. Also, Exo didn't say it outright, but he said he kind of alluded to the fact that the gearbox in there is going to fit a 36 millimeter can and nothing bigger, which is put that in as another misstep by Axial. And what is the ring gear? Like, whoa, what is the ring? Is it from something else? Is it something new? So you've got 30%, and that's what you've got. 30% front overdrive, and that's what you've got. He put it down in the grass, and he gave it some beans, and you could watch the front tires. Give me 2 tires. You could watch the front tires going like this because they're overdriving the rear end so much. They're trying to outrun. It's the dog dragging its butt on the carpet. It'll be a very efficient way to part you from your cash repeatedly. 100%. I'd like to see it on Class 1s. I don't think the pumpkins would even clear the ground on Class 1s because the ring gears look pretty much Rift size. Those cutting brakes are better on that other guy? Maybe the biggest problem with the Roll-em-on is that it won't fit in the garages. It won't fit anywhere. Ring gear is unique to the platform. Ugh! According to Google, the gestures are from Mac OS Sonoma, not OBS. No, that's probably absolutely right. But the thing is, where do I turn it back on? It says click the icon that looks like a... I feel like I'm turning into an old man. Like, what is that under in my settings? Like, where do I look for that? Control center. It's like, I love when they turn things on and off and they don't mention it. They're just like, oh, that thing that used to have, that's gone now. Funny how most folks make big fuss about ASD being new tech. Only Scale Builders Guild had sense to say it's been done before. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. If he's referring to the 4107 cutting brake being better than what's in the Roll-em-on, which is what I'm calling it, for those who've missed it, after watching, I watched the Harley video. His running portion was not that long. That thing rolled. It had to have rolled a dozen times. Remember the 30-degree mention? Not doing anything ridiculous, but boy, was it rolling. The kid is teaching you how to use your VCR. Yeah. I think the cutting brake design is pretty cool, but I think the axles look shoddy. Yeah. The axles, particularly the mold gap, where the pieces don't go together, I'm typing. I'm just going to Google it. Access the video settings menu. Where is that? Like, here's how to make a reaction. Here's how to do a hand gesture. All right, I'm not gonna dwell on it. It's gonna drive me crazy. The axle gap sticker is enough for me not to buy it. Yeah. How much for the TLR axle gap tape? Yeah, let's fix the gap with tape. Oy, oy, oy. So, I'm gonna keep my hands busy. So feel free to ask as many questions as you want. Factory plastic wheels and a heavy cage will really hurt the side hill performance. Jonathan, you're not wrong. But also, now when you put heavy wheels on it, that oscillating bounce action is just gonna get worse. And now that if that is a unique, I guess the word is more accurately proprietary ring and pinion, you get what you get, I guess. Maybe just the rear. The steering servo mount looks sketchy. It is really far over to one side. Really far over to one side. I have concerns for upgraders. You put your 800-ounce servo on there, which they're all going to do. They're all going to reefs raw that thing. Your drag link is that long. The torque that it's going to apply to that side knuckle, the right-hand knuckle, is going to be much more force than the knuckle on the other side sees. So, I mean, maybe it will be nothing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens as they come out more. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's get things in order. Yeah. Anna, several mentioned that the cutting brake wasn't disengaging under load. I would expect nothing else from Axial. They've gotten dig correctly one time. Anyone noticing those little licensed tires have to run backwards on one side? As I pointed out in the Rock Block review, this is how Baja Boss are. These are 1.9s, the others are 2.2s. So no matter what you do, that block is on the outside on one side and the inside on the other. And if you flip them around and then run the other way, then one of the tires is backwards. The J Concepts Rock Block actually made they're actually stamped on the sidewall left hand and right hand. So the Baja Boss are not. Also, what in the pardon my Americanized French, but what in the hell are these tires doing on my no holds barred, you're gonna need harder lines rock crawling buggy? It should be fitted with like something like this, but Axial doesn't make something like that. So they looked through their pitiful plethora of tires and decided what to slap on there, I'm guessing. Yes, the new, we were talking about the new Holmes 2-in-1 on the Discord, and the biggest speculation we have is how much is it going to cost? If it is more than 150 American dollars, I would consider it a non-starter. Regardless of the performance, regardless of the potential. Because that is a really steep hill to climb. The $150 price point gets you anything you need right now. I can't imagine that the Holmes 2-in-1 is going to do anything revolutionary, something that isn't done by something else. We have a nice compact platform. It is indeed shorter than a Fusion Pro, but at what cost is always the question. What does the length of the link have to do with the amount of torque? Torque is linear, but here's what I challenge you to. Okay, here's a perfect answer to that question. We're going to play a game of pool, as they call it here in America, or billiards, as they call it in other parts of the world. I am going to use a traditional cue, which are usually what? Probably about 5 foot long. And you are allowed to use this. We will make you a pool cue that is like 16 inches long. That short of a link is going to, basically, it's moving the knuckle closer to the center. So I have to try less hard to strike the ball. I can use the cue. The servo doesn't care. So the servo is going to, it's basically, it's like using a short horn, right? Because you're building a triangle. Here's the servo. Here's the horn coming down. Here's the linkage. Here's the hypotenuse. It's a thing in space that doesn't exist. When you shorten that up, the servo can apply its force more suddenly, more directly. The amount of torque the servo is making does not change. I just think that we use equal length things for a reason. The tie rod is that long and the drag link is that long. I'm waiting to see. I want to see. Exo said he's going to put that Reef's 1400 in it, and we'll see. Oh, speaking of fighting short links, when the video is up for the Executioner, you'll see what it's like to fight short links. I'm having a real fight the links week. Oh man, it was moving. At what cost to play? You know, Holmes is going for the highest price you can get, 100%. They could have at least put the beadlocks on the roll them on. Maybe they don't. Do they not have 2-2 beadlocks laying around? When you tell people on Facebook that it can't crawl, they come back saying it's not a crawler. You're dumb. If you're rock crawling with it, it's a rock crawler. But anyway, how can you set up 2 rigs on the same radio link transmitter so that you can have both rigs turned on and switch from one rig to another? ID seed. Yes, ID seed. 100%. Okay. So this one doesn't have ID seed set up, but here's where you go to ID seed and you just turn on enable, and it has IDs 1 through I think 10. You can do 10 discrete models. You will have to rebind the receiver when you do that. So you'll do one to like ID 01, and then the next rig you'll set it to ID 02. And then you just have it in the model switch when you switch models. So then when you have one, if you have both of them turned on at the same time and you want to switch from one to the other, you just go into models and you just switch between the models. That's it. I mean, it's really simple, but you do have to rebind. You can have as many as you turned on, as many turned on as you want if ID seed is enabled. So what you're saying is Axial didn't do any geometry work on the suspension. If they had, the front upper links wouldn't look like this. What's going to break first? The servo or the steering? That's my question. The drag link is double sheared, so that should be okay. Apparently, the servo is 25 spline, and they were trying to shove 23 spline on a lot of them at the factory. They haven't trained the boxes that assemble the rigs to be smart enough to tell the difference between 23 and 25. Care to run a servo test close to the scale and one far away from the scale? I just don't think you'll see even 0.5% of a difference. No, you probably won't. But how much, what you're going to find out, it's not about testing it on a test platform. It's about what is the point of failure of that plastic knuckle. Where does the knuckle fail? Because when you have this in your hand, you can't feel if you're at stall or past stall. So what you have is a vehicle outfitted with a radio that has no functional nor reliable endpoint adjustments. They're going to take that off. They're going to put a Reef's 1400 on there, and it's just going to tear the knuckle off. Like there's nothing to deflect because it's this long. If you mounted this, if you took the drag link and put a drag link that went all the way to the other side, I guarantee you would break less stuff. You would diminish your steering accuracy, but you just installed an impromptu servo saver. Yeah, 1400 Reefs is what he said he's putting on it. I have them on the model section, and remember you said many moons ago that you can't use them both at the same time like that. No, you can if ID seed is on. But if you don't have ID seed on and both rigs are on, they will both communicate with the radio at the same time. Have you seen the 1/12 Hyper Go crawler that costs $179? No. That's you'll have to pardon me. You'll have to beg my pardon. Beg your pardon. Why would I look at that? The 12th scale element is garbage. The only 12th scale worth looking at was the now discontinued UTB 18 that doesn't have 4-wheel steer. As of today, as my hand rests like the thing atop Susan, there is no 12th scale that I would purchase or nor recommend. So if it's 12th scale, it's too small. I think I know what one you're talking about, though. If it's the one, no, the one that I'm thinking of costs more than $179. So no, I definitely haven't seen it. I think I would buy the Bully 2 Moa for $10 more before I'd buy the Axle. Yeah. I mean, you have to understand. They're definitely aiming that thing at an audience for whom performance is not the number one requirement. Can you repeat the last IDC part? I didn't hear you. Good IDC in the menu. Turn IDC on. You will have to rebind the receiver to each one individually. Make sure you don't accidentally bind both receivers to the same ID seed, because then you'll be back in the same problem again. And then after that, everything operates normally. It has a Gladiator style body. No, I've never seen that. It's just the 4-wheel steer is like $20 more than the 2-wheel steer version. Of what? Not the UTB-18. The UTB-18, you could get them for $150. And I want to say that the 4-wheel steer version is like $250. They're getting into 10th scale pricing with that. It's ridiculous. That was the big selling point Axial, but it's 1/8 scale. Does Axial's new buggy look interesting at all to you? No. Yeah, the Axial. I think describing the Guy Le Mans as a hobby grade toy car is adequate. I think that's a decent summarization. Was it EXO that said it performs better than a MOA setup? Yes, it was. Yeah, Jonathan got his V1 UTB-18 on clearance for $140. Yeah. Hey, Andre with 5. He's helping counter the 70 that rolled off. The tie rod being double shear is preferable. The tie rod provides steering for both knuckles. The drag link only steers the other tire. A longer link is more likely to bend. Well, yeah, or deflect, not bend. If anyone has bent a tie rod, the steering servo didn't do it. There isn't a steering servo made that's powerful enough to bend a 5mm steel rod. Something in there will give first. There's probably a 3mm bolt holding it on. That's going to give before the 5mm rod. Yeah, I don't know of anyone that paid over $150 for a UTB-18. Would you get the Guy Le Mans if they came out with a kit version? No. There's nothing about the Guy Le Mans that appeals to me at all. Jimbo with 5. Kai Guy, JC NorCal. Jim. Hey, these are names I recognize, which means that the more frequent gifteds are rolling off. Another tech question. Does it matter the link distance at the skid between front and rear links? Like in the skid, does it matter if it's 39? I think I understand what you're asking. This is the guy that I'm need to be working on in a moment. You're asking if this distance between the two lowers makes any difference. Like if those are farther apart or closer together. Like on a TRX4, they're much farther apart. This distance makes a difference. Like if the closer these get, you're modifying the roll center. And the further you move them apart, you're also modifying the roll center. They're usually trying to pick a happy medium. But this distance, it just makes your skid longer. People are going to want them closer together because it makes the skid shorter, which is going to help you break over more easily. But like in terms of performance, having this closer to this doesn't really. I think most manufacturers will try to move them as close as they can. If you'll notice, this one is here and this one is here, and here's the bolts for a 3-gear. So like this is about as close as you could get those together. So the cutting brake is put on the Guy Le Mans because it doesn't turn and the geometry's trash. EXO said in back-to-back statements that the stock servo, what did he say, is really good. And the turning circle, I think he said that the turning was pretty decent. Or it was really good. It was one or the other. That comes down to the axle more than anything else. Does the axle have sufficient throw? It looks like the axle has a reasonable amount of steering angle. It doesn't look like, like TRX4s are limited by the CVD, but it doesn't look like it's too mechanically limited. It looks like it's going to have a decent turning circle, but it has a crazy long wheelbase, so it's going to turn pretty slow because it's long. So for me, the ability to stop each tire individually is, I don't think anything that I've ever said, oh man, I wish I could stop just that one tire. But, I mean, maybe it's revolutionary and I'm not seeing it right. I like the cutting brake setup, but they should have been on a 1/10 scale. I think it's on this because they can't fit it on anything smaller. Why can't someone just make a nice U4 trucker buggy that I can ride all the South Alabama trails with? I want IFS speed and crawl. These optics ain't doing it for me. Right now on A-Main, the Super Laser Nut is on sale for, I think it's $20 more than a Guillemot. And if you've never seen one in person, the Super Laser Nut is basically a Losi 8 Truggy with shorter arms on it. It's this long. It's enormous. And it was what the original Laser Nut should have been. Now, is it like a trail vehicle? Does it look... I mean, it honestly kind of looks more like the actual Laser Nut than the little Laser Nut does. But, I mean, here's the deal. When I think trailing, all I can think is Bruce, because pretty pass all day. And when I think trail, I don't want to go super fast because that's now bashing. I'm not really concerned with how good it is at proper crawling because I have vehicles for that. And I got real lucky. I got Bruce, and I started throwing some parts at it, and he does everything that I want, from something to take out and drive in the flood control. And as his leafs and inserts break in a little bit, he will actually be able to maneuver reasonably well, which will be nice. Yeah, I saw when I saw the big Laser Nut at, somebody had one at Proline by the Fire. I mean, I know how big a Truggy is, but man, it's real big. It's real big. Like 7 or 8 inch tall tires. I just can't justify, like, when I look at the prices of the stuff that's on sale and you see what things cost relative to each other, I cannot see any motivation to buy a Guillemot when a full-blown 6S Arma costs less money. If I want a rock crawler, I know for a fact I can build it for less than what a Guillemot costs. Or an Optic. Hey, Big Mike. Mr. C, the other day I saw a rig that was built with IFS2 in the front and in the rear. You should try building something like that. There's really, that vehicle, you can buy a chassis. Somebody sells a chassis that is built specifically to run double IFS. Congratulations, you just built a buggy. Those exist. Like, if you want independent suspension, go buy a Typhon. A Typhon is that. Like, the allure is, you do it for the same reason that I put a Fusion Mini 16 in here. It was a thought experiment made real, and we found out in reasonably short order that at least on this platform, maybe with portals, maybe if it had portals under it, the gear reduction could be sufficient enough. You do see why this is being changed out, right? That's too dark on that camera. That is a 10-tooth pinion and a 90-tooth spur gear. And it's still fast. So, not over there. We're not over there yet. So, you know, you can't crawl with a Typhon. You can't crawl with double IFS. Also, how do you know you can't crawl with a Typhon? Put 2 spools in it and put a Fusion Pro in it. Come back and tell me if you can crawl with it or not. Because double IFS is going to have modestly better ground clearance, if anything. How is this thing set up? Oh, I'm going to have to solder something a lot here. If you want to go bigger, yeah, low C DBXLE. John Deere came out with 3 different pickup trucks. Like John Deere, the tractor guys, they make trucks, regular trucks. Huh. I almost got my hopes up. That was the temper on the bench. No. Oh, Mr. Hiscock, don't worry about it. When it gets here, it gets here. The Losi RZR is my favorite trailing car. It has nearly the same wheelbase as the Rollomon. Which one of the Rays is it? Is it the Hammer Ray? One of the Rays is on sale right now for like $300. That is not something that I would advise somebody to go out and buy. They are parts devourers, but it's just over half of what a Rollomon costs. I can almost forgive it at that price, honestly. You can crawl with double AFS if you're not a coward. It'll be shit, but it'll be fun. Yeah, it's not going to crawl well. Independent suspension does not crawl well. You can try to force it into that mold. You can try to make it crawl to a level that you deem acceptable, but it's never going to crawl well. At a 4 IFS bomber, it doesn't work. Every incline is a jump with enough speed. That is correct. People put the Traxxas slash 4x4 and went rock climbing on it. Yeah. What's your favorite dipping sauce for chicken tenders? Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Yeah, I'm basic. I commented, what crawler runs 3,000 kV on 4S on Holmes' video, and some dude responds with, a crawler. Fantastic answer. IFS is good when you want to go fast, but in a crawler, I would not want it. Yeah. Live axles, these things, live axles are not the thing to go fast. They don't like it. Getting live axles to go fast reliably and repeatably is difficult. I bolted that spur on from the inside. John Deere came out with 3 different pickups. The 4-cylinder has 1,000 pound-feet of torque on it. Oh, is it electric? You can trail in an X-Max, sure. Yeah, by the way, that pinion is called a decagon. Honestly, I think that at 10, it's still round. I refer to 9-tooth pinions as nonagons because a 9-tooth pinion is no longer round. It is a 9-sided shape. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. I love driving my Baja Ray too. I don't bash it, just race it around the dirt track. Yeah. I've still watched them disassemble. It's live axles at speed. That's what it comes down to. UDR for trailing. Gear it down enough, sure. IFS trails real good. That's why a lot of like Toyota pickups that are crawler correction off-roaders have that. Yeah, I mean. Just watching King of Hammers has me wanting something like that. Yeah, you're going to have to build it, I think. I put a Puller Pro 3500 in my Zool too. That's going to be fast. Do you still have the MB Scaler Jeep? If so, the figures I'm sending will fit that too. The MB Scaler takes the full 12-inch, like Barbie size. I have a couple of those. Live axles are best for keeping max tire profile on the ground. Depends. I've got 2 rigs with IFS, Peugeot 504 pickup with fenders and small tires. I got IFS 1 on the 3D print skid. Got a big scale look. Its bumper is so wide it gets stuck everywhere, but it's fun. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go fast with a live axle is doable. It's all about shock tuning. Ask any Ultra 4 guy. No, 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 no. Some things don't translate. They have a diff gear that's this big. We have a diff gear that's this big. They're making 500 horsepower, 700 horsepower. Even this thing, if you scaled it up, would tear if you scaled this up to full size. So we made a 1-1 Fusion Mini. It would tear the entire drivetrain apart. Like how they throw out these numbers like, oh, this makes 1,000 pound-feet of torque, 10,000 pound-feet of torque. This motor, all in, weighs 2.5 ounces and will happily move a 5, 6, 7 pound rig around. So in a full-size car, you'd be able to pick it up with two hands like this, and it would make more power. It would make supercar levels of power. So there are things that don't translate. In full size, yes, you can make live axles that go fast. For a little while, if you're planning on tearing it down and rebuilding it before the next race. But look at the guy that keeps winning King of Hammers, and look at all those. They tend to be they're basically stadium trucks. It's independent in the front, live axle in the rear, or full independent now. So you can do it, and then there's should you do it? How did the canyon fare with all the rain? All the puddles are almost gone already. Do you have your Marlin still? Yes. Seriously, who is 3004 S4 TRX4 in a Stealth? That would still be too fast. 2850 kV slate in a Comp Fox is perfect with a tiny pinion. Yeah, Stealth with portals is pretty slow. When are you going to get a Traxxas Summit? They're becoming more difficult to come by. Do you have any Leafers? I have 2. Currently testing dipping sauces. Buckhan's dipping sauce. Grannies! Katsu sauce, ketchup, mustard, Sweet Baby Ray's, Trader Joe's burger sauce, honey mustard. Buckhan's is one of my favorite. I like the hot one the best, followed by yuzu, followed by the regular one, followed by miso. Can you tell that they carry Buckhan's at Costco? So building it, I got to get the Zool front end and figure out the rest. Don't feel limited. Don't feel limited. Whatever size you want to build, you just need a front clip. If you want to use a front clip out of a Losi Truggy, do that. If you want to cut the whole front end off of a Slash 4x4 and use that, do that. Run it to the live axle of your choice. So start by picking your front end, what A-arms and diff housing, because it's just going to have an output, right? You can connect a drive shaft to it to run off of whatever, and then choose a rear axle that matches the width of your front axle and go crazy. The Mini Fusion scaled 1-to-1 would twist the dry line like a pretzel. Yeah. Yeah, new Hummer, 11,500 foot-pound. Yeah, that's because all electric motors, by their nature, are maximum torque at 0 RPM. So you could, if you, I can't remember which, you either pull the scale out long enough or you squeeze the scale in tight enough, you could just say that it makes an infinite amount of torque because it has an infinite potential torque. The more voltage and the more amperage you put into the motor, it's just going to make more and more and more torque until the wire can't handle the amount of voltage and amperage it's given. So electric motors, that is their advantage. That is why we like them for little things like this, because maximum torque at 0 RPM. 6 inches of snow. No, thank you. Was listening to some Korn while working then when remember it was Friday. Nice. Okay, someone with the same name ran 1/8 buggy back in the days. Oh, I'm talking to somebody else. How am I doing today? I'm doing all right. Don't forget to cut behind the steering servo linkage for the IFS. Oh, yeah. Do you do any full-scale wheeling? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It does not appeal to me in any way. I like to watch it, but I would not want to do it. End of line. I have watched enough YouTube videos of coolers and stuff being ejected out of the windows of vehicles. And I choose not to be that. Before I throw it away, so right here, you have what would appear to be some moldy bread, right? Like I cut the crusts off and then I have some moldy bread. That was a piece of sponge that I had to cut to fit my soldering iron right over there. See my nice blue shiny sponge? I had it sitting on the bench and my wife walked into the building and went, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's my don't touch your face or mouth after you've touched this. This is probably just mostly lead. It's probably more lead than it is sponge at this point." And we can bid it adieu now. It lived almost as long as the rapidly dissolving tip that we replaced off. There we go. That we replaced off the soldering iron. Yeah, I can't self-right my Jeep in real life. Absolutely. No. 20 inches of snow. No. Try Kinder's Hot Barbecue for your chicken tendies. A lot of EVs list the torque as measured after gear reduction. That's why the numbers can be so huge. Yes. What's your full-scale daily driver? I drive a Subaru. That's why I run 1/8 scale brushless censored system in my 1/10 crawlers on 2S or 3S. More than enough to work. I never have heating issues. Yeah. I'd keep using that sponge. It cut through to where I was sticking the soldering iron in the water under the sponge. Switch to copper wool style stuff and you won't go back to sponges. Do you mean like this? No, I will absolutely go back to sponges. I genuinely, and not just to be contrarian, as we go over to the sponge, I prefer the sponge. It's a cleaner tip. Should I hold this like those stock photos where she's holding it like a pencil? Even though that would be the really hot, angry part. I didn't bother to clip this in. I just need to get the servo detached. I'm going to put a new plug on it because I'm bougie like that. I don't need to reuse a plug. I also should have put a little solder on this. Close enough. Mini 16. We'll find a drawer for you. Oh wait, we already have a drawer for him. I will need to solder everything back onto a new plug. Ooh, these rotated a good bit. I got a fresh one. Yeah. This plastic is not quite as heat resilient as or it's just smaller. It's probably the same plastic that's in the XT 60s. It's just less of it. How come you never showed us the Slash you built with the fully functional paintball turret? I never had one of those. I'd also lose the Hako. That is dumb talk. That is just plain dumb talk. That Hako is older than people in this chat. Guaranteed. Hako 936 with a 907 pen. If you think you have a better soldering iron, you're probably wrong. Though you had a Scion. I do. It's still in the driveway, but I haven't driven it in 2 years. Oh, you mean that? Get rid of that Hako thing. Oh, all right. Get a bigger iron for motor wires and a smaller one for fine wires. USB heats to 350 in about 5 seconds. Man, am I jealous of that flexible long soldering lead? My soldering station has a short and stiff cable. Yeah. You see the new soldering station from ProTech. I clicked on it to go to the ProTech page so I could find out how much they were charging for it, and I couldn't even find it on AMain, so I still don't know how much it costs. Sponge is engineer's preference. Wool is the welder's choice. Okay. Yeah, I can't do cordless. I can't do cordless for soldering irons. Make a shout out to Pat Wright of La Habra, California. He's been ambassador of your channel. I don't know who that is, but shout out to Pat Wright then. Have you ever made a full brass tube cage for any crawlers? No. I've worked out how to mount a turret onto a slash, but definitely not for paintball. Yeah, I mean, an average paintball marker weighs about the same as what the rigs weigh. What system is going in the rig on Susan? Somebody got a Fusion, and they used to have... so I've had an AG Innovations Ninja, which obviously needs a bunch of stuff resoldered on here. I've had a Ninja sitting in the motors drawer for a while. So we're going to put the Ninja in with a Rhino 1470. The S12 1470? S12 1470. That should be pretty much perfect for where the gearing is going to be. Unfortunately for me, I have no recollection of what the gearing was before the Mini 16 went in there. So I'm just going to guess on the pinion. And we're going to start off guessing around where the gearing was with the 1090. So I'm going to go with an 84. And somewhere here on the bench, I have an 18. I have an 18. So 1884 is pretty common stuff. Hey, Miata Commuter Fiber. Crawler Life, when to adjust your ass black suit. $129.99. That's not bad. A while back, I asked you about decals for our dailies with a QR link to the website. Any thoughts? I wouldn't even know where to go to get it done. I would get them made if I knew that there was a market for it, but I feel like mass production is in my past, and I don't... The part of me that would have desired to do that is gone now, I think. If it was a matter of getting a batch of them made... look, here's what it comes down to. A lot of folks give a lot of suggestions. Like, I had questions as to whether or not I was going to copy or CAD or whatever the chassis rails that I made for Jolly Green. No, absolutely not. Nobody's going to build that. I tried to kickstart the hardline chassis that I made for VS410. I knew the minimum quantity that I would need to be sold to basically break even. And I think 7 people funded that. 7. So, no. Like, I give away a lot of stuff. And I abide by her rules, both of them. And I feel no ill will about giving things away. If I've decided to give something away, I give it away. But if we're going to talk about selling stuff, if we're talking about selling things, I'm not even talking about profit. I'm talking about it can't cost me money. I'm already, like, I've never charged a dime for a decal, for a sticker. But people are kind enough to send me money through PayPal every now and again, which helps offset the $150 worth of stamps that I've bought, on top of the money that I spent on the stickers the first time and the second time. But I give them away. Just like I give away the shock stands, because sometimes I just like to make things and I like to give them to people. But if we're talking about how it's something that I have to invest in, I pay $5 a month for a website. I don't even go and look at it. So would I like to have swag? Yeah. Then my instinct, what I would do instinctively is just start giving it away. And then I wonder where the money went. So the motivation to go out and do it all, to do all the legwork. I can't even get myself to turn the 3D printer on. I mean, you know, I have a chainsaw. I have a 3D print file of a chainsaw. I would love to print Bruce a chainsaw. I can't even motivate myself enough to print this stupid chainsaw. Lanyards would be a great idea. Like, I mean, it's literally just a tape, and they cut it, and why am I doing that? Like, this is just one, they take a piece off of a roll of, you know, it's Totoro. And then they sew a piece together with a ring on it. These probably cost 5 cents. But like, where do you find somebody to make these? Like that, you know, I don't know. I didn't ever think about, I'm crawlercanyon.net and not crawlercanyon.com because it never occurred to me to have a website. What do I need a website for? I make dumb YouTube videos that nobody watches. So, you know, it keeps going back. There's the lyric in the song about you make the music for yourself and not for the crowd. It's the same thing. I'm still making the videos that I want to make, right? Or the videos that I would want to see. So I want to keep doing that. A friend of mine brought his VS410. He told me to do whatever I want to it. So what's the best upgrade I can do without changing everything or spending too much money? It already has a Fusion. What VS410? Like, is it a Phoenix? Is it a builder's kit? What VS410 are we talking about? If you want to give away a few of the 6x6 chassis, I'll donate them. He's already assembled. Random question of the day. Have you experienced any problems backing Tamiya paints with another brand of paint? Yes. If you find the perfect, like this one's acrylic based and this one's an enamel, their solvents are completely different. You can definitely get, that's how crackle paint works. The overlayer is basically melting the layer that's underneath it. So yeah, you can do it. Can I remember what I used? No. Do I tend to just back all my paints now with duplicolor vinyl and fabric black? Yes, I do. Used Tamiya background Traxxas paint, ruined the entire paint job, and it all flaked off. Ooh. There you go. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I want one of those 6x chassis. It's just about the only type of crawler I don't have. I feel bad about you spending money for the hosting. It's $5 a month. It really doesn't matter. If you don't print out the chainsaw, you have to do karaoke on the stream. There's nobody here to make me. By the way, the best $100 I ever spent was on a Hako 936 with a pack of new tips. Have you got files for the hardline chassis? No, I don't even have the hardline chassis anymore. You can turn the thing into a file in 2 seconds. If someone would scan it on a flatbed scanner, send an image over to me and give one dimension to scale it correctly. I sprung $50 for the Boom Racing lanyard. I think it's worth it. Good grief. We want to see the Guillemon. I'm not in control of your wallet. Go ahead and buy one. Don't call us nobody, Mr. C. We're all watching. Yeah, well, you know. It's nobody is relative. Zoku chassis gets my upgrade to upgrade a VS410. I mean, that's fair, but like that's a big change. I'm trying to think of like, so the twins are basically VS410s, completely full stock chassis. It's a shorter throw chassis. It's built that way. My instinct, obviously, would be to throw flat rails at it because it's kind of lazy. What would I do? It's already got a Fusion in it. I mean, mine would be the basic stuff. Like, does it have the tires? You don't have to worry about the tires. Tires are upgrade number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Tires and inserts. If it has a tire that's working and an insert that's working and a servo that is competent and it's already got a Fusion in it, I mean, what you have to do is you have to ask yourself this. There's the two-headed hydra of the question, of the crawler question. What is it not doing that I want it to do? And what is it doing that I don't want it to do? And then you move towards fixing that. Oftentimes, it's, well, and this guy is a terrible example of that because This was a thought experiment more than it was anything else. When I saw how light the 10 Pro was out of the box, I was like, oh, well, we might as well just go full light. I used Spastics recently for the first time, and the solvent ran messed up bad. Never had that happen before. Yeah, conditions. I am guilty of this as well. We don't pay attention to the conditions a lot. This is the one time in Southern California where it's like not the optimal time to paint, which is why the number of bodies that need painted are really backing up. But it'll be 70 again in a week, and then I can get some painting done. That's all I'm waiting for on the Oops Class 1. It's just a nice day to paint it. Bought all the parts from Jenny's to build a TRX4 F-150 high trail, put 90mm shocks on it with 1-ring tires, built one for a less lot than buying RTR. Nice! Yeah, set a tusk for the Phoenix. Yeah. What about shocks that don't leak for a VS410? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anything other than incisions. Big bores are great. Chavtex, whatever you like. But yeah, the S80, yes, thank you. Who pointed that out? West Hunt, thank you very much. I forget about S8Es to the point that they don't exist to me. They leak so bad. What's your go-to servo these days? Do you do any servo testing? I don't do the servo test videos because I found out what other people find out in fairly short order. Nobody watches them. They are not watched. So it's still, for most things, Flash Hobby 50 kg or 60 kg direct power, depending on which one is lower priced at that time. If I'm looking for something cheaper, I will go with a Flash Hobby 45 kg. If I'm looking for something very cheap, I will get the Blue Case Amazon 45 kg, which I've seen on sale as low as $25. The Blue Case 45 kg servo at that price point, at the normal everyday $29.99, cannot be beaten. Price performance ratio. It simply cannot. And 45 kg is about 35 kg is the really do not go below line for me. I won't buy anything below 35 kg. But 45 kg is suitable for most everything. This is a 35 kg AGFRC direct power, which is moving these tiny little comp pins on this little 5-pound rig, and it's more than enough. 60 kg is well more than enough. Anything above 60 kg you're buying because you like the look of the servo, you like the brand that the servo is made by. You're never going to use it. You're just, well, in something like this. I mean, you know, if you've got an SCX6 or something, yeah, sure, you can use a 1500 ounce servo. But for those of us on typical width axles with typical size tires and stuff, 60 kg, that like around 800 ounces is more than you'll ever need. 82 degrees in Louisiana. Didn't it snow there a little while ago? There's a new hack. The 2.0 spoke from a mountain bike or a road bike. They say are the same dimension as hex pin, and some of those drive shafts are universal pin. They measure. Oh, nice. Can you make Traxxas 90mm GTS shocks work on a Phoenix Portal that has 80mm stock? Mr. Hiscock, I believe firmly that 85mm is the perfect length for the Phoenix, which is coincidentally the length of a big bore. So can you get a GTS down to 85 millimeters? Sure. You just change the rod end on the bottom, I think. I think you can pull up a couple millimeters. But yeah, you can set it up in such a way as that it doesn't over droop and ruin your whole front end geometry. You've got some room to play with it, because don't forget, Vanquish doesn't really make any changes between the straight axle and the Portal. One comes on 90s and one comes on 80s, which is why it's a lot harder. I think they set up the geometry for the Portal first, because the geometry on the Portal seems a lot more forgiving than the geometry on the straight axle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can just mount them down to the link mount and just lower the mount point down. Well, not on a Vanquish axle. They're already there. But yeah. You can. I'll say loosely you can get away with a 90 on a Phoenix Portal. I think it likes an 85 better. I was hoping Axial's new release would be an SCX6 Unimog. A lot of people were thinking that it was going to be like an SCX6 Capra. But those people were all thinking not like Axial. You have to remember, oh, that's right, the cutout motor plate. We've got to see how this is going to mount. This is the one of the peculiarities of our good friend the 10 Pro is they put a big recess in the back of the motor plate. So when you go to put an outrunner on it, the outrunner has that big wire sticking up. So really, the only way to get it to orient is you have to hope that you can mount the motor with the wires aiming. I think it might line up. You got to aim the wire out right here and then run them on the outside of the chassis. I don't know why they could have just used like a thinner plate, but I guess because they wanted to make it plastic. I don't know. Much like the people who are hoping for an SCX6 Capra, I can't think like Axial either. Every time they come out with a new product, they announce some new thing that's coming out. The question I find myself asking repeatedly is, who is this for? Who specifically is this aimed at? Record setting in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and it's going to be 82. Thanks for the KOH build. Got to go win some brownie points for Valentine's Day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend yourself. We'll see what time my wife gets home. She had meetings today at work. Nobody likes meeting day. Okay, now if the other side will line up. At least I thought to mount this before I got too far into it. Need tweezers. My hands are too big. SCX6 is a dying platform. Yeah. Have you ever tried to do the cheapest possible build using Amazon only? Yeah. I have. That's toothless. But he's got Diamond Pros on him, so it's not really toothless anymore. You can buy, all you need to know is if you want the highest performance that you can get for the lowest expenditure, when they're not out of stock, you can still buy a Mias Gold Rush and you can buy Mias nylons, either from Mias, from Red Spider, or from RC Wow. And if you combine those two things together with a $16 RC Lions link kit, you basically have Gary Musey. You can build it very inexpensively. So, it's pretty easy to do, really. I got it. Now, the question is, how much pinion? Oh, plenty. Plenty! I was looking all over for this. Nobody told me where it was. As soon as Harley started building a buggy, I knew that it was going to be the new fad. Then Vanquish released the H10, and here we are. There you go. Don't try to look at things too conspiratorially. It really gets to you. Guess the size of the Outrunner in my Ascent 18. It's one of those little ones the size of a thimble. Update on my dumb heavy LC80 with aluminum wheel well still not done and still not painted. I'm on board with you on still not painted. The number of unpainted bodies in this building is shocking. Shocking. I've got the lowest kg servo I've ever bought. It's an AGFRC IP67 high speed for the touring car build, and even it's overkill. Yeah, I bought a 19 kg for the drift car if I ever get around to like actually trying that. When you get out for those coffee drinks. Oh, yeah, I do need to do one where I get the coffee before the stream. What's up with Tim Tins? I don't know. If you want cheapest without looking at performance. Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah. And if you ever plan to have yourself a Bruce, you got to get one now because from what I understand, they've discontinued That whole platform, which I guess the Michigan was the first of that, because the Michigan came before the Atlas. Yeah, the Atlas came out after they got the cease and desist from Stellantis. So that whole platform has been discoed, and it's a shame too, because it, I don't want to, when I say it wasn't that bad, I don't want you to interpret it as saying, oh, well, that means it wasn't that good. Not good at crawling, but that platform is the reason that we got the 1941 MB and the FJ40. So, points, respect where respect is due. Oh, no. Oh, no. I thought I had it. I thought I had it all figured out. But I tightened it down, and it's right where the link goes. So that's not going to work. I wonder if can I aim it to the other side safely? Yeah. I am still not a huge supporter of the 10 Pro, and somehow I have 3 of them. What's the go-to shock since GTS aren't at Jenny's? First would be, build yourself some Chavtex. If you don't want to go through that much work, it's still big bores. 2660s. If you get big, the suspension is severely limited by the positioning of that motor. Big bores and a package of the hardware for Element SE shocks. We'll give you the cups. You slap some little 20 millimeter springs on it, 10 millimeter springs on it. Or you can put conventional size springs on it. They come outfitted for that. The big bore is quite literally often imitated. Like the Dravtech is just a big bore. Who would have thought this would be so difficult? I did. There's a reason that this thing didn't have an outrunner on it before. This is one of those moments where, honest to God, okay, I don't know, if you can't hear it happening, I'm getting lazy right before your eyes. So, we're going to get real lazy here in a minute. I got to read to catch up. SSD makes a Curry clone they call the Diamond Pro. I think it came on their chassis set years ago. The Diamond Pro is my favorite axle. Chris Pierce asked, what is Bruce? You don't know Bruce? Okay. FMS FJ40. Could you put leafs on the Michigan? Yes, they sell a kit for it. It's becoming impossible to find. The designer of the Guillemot was on SBG's lab yesterday. He said he's been working on it since 2022. Just the process of rebuilding the MB scaler I just picked up secondhand to go with the FJ. Nice. I'm going to have to go get Desert Lizards from my LHS. Not a bad choice. If you can get your hands on Team Durango short course truck shocks, they're stupid smooth and they work really well. They hold oil. They're probably going to be a little big. The Michigan is still available, but they redid the grill, same wave of conversion. Yes, that's true. There used to be a leaf kit for Michigan. It's gone and never coming back. My wife laughs at me. I'm currently building a crawler and watching another guy build a toy car. Hello from Germany. Hello to Germany. 2660s are €32 a pair in the UK. Yeah, you're just going to have to go Chavs. You're going to have to build them then. Ever had a Hobbywing 80 amp ESC explode? No. No, I have not. No, I haven't. I haven't had a single issue with any Hobbywing product at all. I know I'm lucky in that. I know that there are people that have. But I will take that luck. I'm not gonna turn it down if it's offered to me. I bought a set of Chronics, and to be honest, they're nice, but pound for pound, the GTS Team Trexes, yeah. I have 2 sets of Chronics here. I don't have a single negative word to say about Chronics, period. But that is a price point that it's not even a consideration. Oh, I gotta figure that. Where'd the BEC go? 113. It's like, I keep asking myself, how much of a differential are we going to have to look at here? I just got the Rhino W1 chassis kit. Was thinking of running the Mias OD transmission. Yeah, they just cloned a Stealth X. Yeah. I want the Holmes 2-in-1 540. Can't wait. I'm waiting to see what it's going to cost. That's what I would look at more than anything. What is it going to cost? Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, today, this very day, before your eyes, he's gaining 112 grams. Just, sometimes, you just want life to be easy. Easy, like Sunday morning. That's what's going to happen right now. Because his two brothers run fusions. So people already get their dislikes warmed up and ready because I'll put a fusion in anything. There's a reason I'll put a fusion in anything. There's a reason that the thing I want to know more than anything else is what is Holmes going to charge for his 2-in-1, because it's going to have to do something really, really special and cost less than $150. If it's over $150, it's just a non-starter as far as I'm concerned. There's no amount of performance that a Holmes 2-in-1 could provide if it costs more than $150. End of. I should probably take the pinion off the motor that I just attached it to. How are the Friction brand shocks doing? You know what? Let me pull him down and see if there's any oil leaking out of them. They're way too expensive. I mean, they're way too expensive. But they are nice. I'm not saying they're not nice. Let's see. Yeah, spring cups are still dry. There's no hint of oil coming out of them. Yeah, front still feels real nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't make judgment on shocks in that short of a term. So those things are going to have to hit the ground a lot more. But I think overall, I think they're too expensive. $50 a pair is a tough ask for me. $100 a pair is a no thank you. So we're going from 3,000 kV to 1,200 kV in one day. I tried to make a stop at 1470. I will always say desert lizards, but they're not for everything. Yeah. I'm going to say the 2-in-1 will be in the $200 range. Then it's not viable. It's just not viable. If let's say that the Holmes 2-in-1 is $200. You could buy 3 of these. And I don't mean gray market. I mean just order them. Like $200 for a power system is crazy. It's not what we need. We need more affordable options. Secure 3625 Outrunner combo, like $75. sometimes $80. Even the Rhino, like if your 2-in-1 costs more than a Fusion Pro, you got to justify why it costs more than a Fusion Pro. And 4 millimeters of shorter can is not enough to justify $50 more onto the price. So I am interested, as everyone else, because if he makes it available in different KVs, that would be great. But as far as I'm concerned, $200 is, I wouldn't even consider it at $200. Because if you think about it, say you only have two options. You have a Holmes 2-in-1 2300, or you have this Fusion SE 1200. If that Holmes costs $200, this is $130 cheaper. Think of what else you can do with that $130. This guy's tires and inserts were $21. So now we're at $91. Is the amount of performance provided by that Holmes equivalent to this SE at $70 and a set of $21 tires with the stock foams in them? No. Now, I know some people don't put as big of a value on money, right? They just look at it as, I can't put a price on fun. And I get it. I have rigs here that cost a lot. But there's no scenario where I can find a justification for a $200 2-in-1 when a $150 2-in-1 already exists, and a $70 and an $80 2-in-1 also exist. It won't be $200. He won't release it for any more than a Fusion Pro. That's smart. How about $500 for a Tiken RX4 and Pro 4? Hey, do you remember when there were like pro race drivers and it was just Tiken everywhere? You know how many pro race drivers run Tiken now? Let me give it to you this way. It's a really small number. Designed in the USA, made overseas. Someone asked him that once and he said, if you want us to make them all, they'd be $300 motors. Yeah. Sub 150, I think, is really ambitious. What's the least expensive way to get the clearance of G2 axles on a TRX4? The aluminum hubs. I don't know how much they cost nowadays. I haven't bought one in a while. But the G2 aluminum hubs. You should get Jolly Green's rails anodized bright green. He's already built. I spent $89. 4S makes it viable for me. Don't be one of those guys where it's like 4S or nothing. You know, the number of instances where 4S is all that's going to work is situations where if you happen to be fitted with a servo that is specifically for 4S. Otherwise, I have a number of rigs here that run 4S. Generally, because the servo they're fitted with is made for 4S. But I would never discount something or purchase something specifically for 4S. It doesn't, I don't know. When I'm driving a rig with 4S, I'm never thinking, oh man, if this thing was 3S, it wouldn't even work. I got that so bent I couldn't get it through I think we're also going to, we're going to go all in now. He's going to gain 112 grams, which is going to push him over 5 pounds for sure. So now we don't have to care, and we don't have to take him out on the course on a 450. We can run him on come on, there you go. We can slap an 850 in there and call it a day. He got a lot of runtime out of that little 3000, I'll say that. Forest with direct power is a thing. Yeah. Does homes produce in your country, then the prices are justified. He doesn't build them here. I have a few Holmes motors, but none of them cost more than $70. Rhino combo can do 4S all day if you're really worried about that. Yeah, they can do 6S. Has anybody tried the Power Hobby Promatic shocks? They look like Desert Lizard, but they have a bleed screw and come with 4 sets of spring weights. I haven't tried them because they cost the exact same amount as Desert Lizards, at least when I've seen them. Agreed on the Fusion. Unless it's skid forward, then they won't fit, then I go secure. Every time I drive 4S, oh God. Are you going to rerun him on Crawlympics? No, he did his deal. What is an inexpensive 4S capable brush DSC? The Radiolink Cool 9030. It'll do 4S and they cost $30. I've had one Holmes product and it was $20. I have a couple Holmes Outrunners, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're really expensive compared to the stuff that I usually run, but they're pretty good. Where's my solder flux? This is rosin core solder. Also, this stuff has all already been soldered, so I don't have to flux anything because it's not a brand new joint. I feel like I'm getting performance anxiety because I don't really care for soldering all that much. And now I have a camera on it, but it's either that or I have you just watch. The alternative is this. There's just nothing over there, so we suffer for our art, I guess. Calling it art is a loose description of art, I will say. But who doesn't like the smoke from the solder coming up? Gotta get a little smoke coming up, and it's just hands and a watch. So when I was forced to update my OS, I got a new watch face, which is pretty cool. But aside from that, I'm still unhappy about it. I'm having a minute here. Is the Fusion censored? Yes. Holmes, yeah, okay. Holmes 2-in-1 apparently isn't censored because it's basically an outrunner flipped into an inrunner. So it's an inside out outrunner. So it's an inrunner, but it's 10 pole, and it's more like an outrunner than it is like an inrunner. So it won't have. Oh, I'm gonna make the worst joint right here. Maybe not. No, I'm gonna make the worst. No, that would be all right. It's just a servo. Like, how bad could it be? I'm the one that cut the plug off the servo when I was trying to save micrograms, so that's on me. Nobody to blame there. No, stop. The magnet is betraying me. Two things I've learned to love: soldering and building shocks. No, it's never happening. Yeah, the watch face definitely has the watch face. Oh my God, definitely has the old man numbers on it. But look, it's got like the little chronometer going around the outside. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That watch face didn't show up when I was on the old Watch OS, and I couldn't update to the new Watch OS until I updated everything, which I didn't want to do. But I updated this computer to the new thing, and everything seems fine. Like, I'm not dropping frames and stuff. Did you forget heat shrink? No, I don't need it. Is the cool 9030 better than a 1080? No. But it is 4S capable if that's a thing that you're interested in. You don't need heat shrink because these plugs have this little guy. That's why I love XT60s. Because you don't have to put heat shrink on it. I think the only battery that I charged, unfortunately, is like I think I charged like a 2200. It'll be enough to do the calibration and setup. So it'll be plenty. Yeah, there we go. Clip it into the clippy here. We'll just zip tie that out of the way later. It'll be absolutely fine. Just want to boot it up and make sure he still works. I don't think I brought his radio. I think it's on the other side of the building now. What happened to that Injora brush at sea? They apparently decided that it wasn't viable, so they're just not going to make it. You can put whatever complications you want. That was on the OS 2 versions back. Yeah. I was the guy in school who actually enjoyed electrical. I even enjoyed soldering. Smoke, I mean, you know, who doesn't like the smoke? I gotta grab a radio. He's gonna teeter there for a minute. It's way over here. It's like far. Rainbird. It's a good thing the building is just full of radios. Okay, I charged a battery and it beeped and I took it off the charger. Then what did I do with it? It's right there. It's right there. Now I might switch him back to an XT30. We'll see. We'll see. Who wants to place the foolhardy bet on whether or not the motor will be rotating the wrong direction? I like how you can take as many fusions as you want, and no two of them will have the same volume level on the startup tone. We knew it was going to be backwards. That seems about right. We knew it. I knew it. It's always backwards. Always. Fire Phoenix is going to sleep. I can dig it. I can dig it. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to go to sleep. Which is probably something I have checked out, but should have checked out, but what are you going to do? 5 value. Okay. Oh, we can turn the BEC down because we don't need it. 5, 5. Yep, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah. Every time you move it, it's going to be, the direction's going to reverse every time. I swear it happens every time. And the beauty of a fusion, though, is that you know that you didn't do it. Jesus. Take it easy. I don't know what the speed, I don't know what this thing is rated at for speed. High. Even with a Kimbrough on there, there's a little bit of run out. I got cruise on this? I think that's about as slow as we can go. The servo is the AGFRC. I think it's right under the servo bracket. I want to say it's the A66. It's the 3S Direct half height. They say 35 kg. It's right at that junction of this is maybe too fast. It doesn't hurt that it doesn't have to really move very much weight. Pardon Okay, Suzanne. I shouldn't have to change anything else. Yeah, nothing's strapped down. It's fine. Yeah, he still goes. Like, what was I expecting, you know? He's not going to run day to day on a 2200, that's for sure. I set up a fusion the other day to my radio link. Rotation was backwards, so I changed programming, which worked. Then I went through calibration, and the throttle reversed again. Oh my God. You have no idea how much that makes me feel good that I'm not the only person that does that. That it goes, oh, it's reversed. Gets out the card, switches the rotation on the motor, then thinks, oh, I should calibrate it, and now the motor's backwards. I've started to catch myself now. You'll notice I calibrate. First thing I did as soon as I hooked it up was calibrate it, because so many times. It's like it's the more time consuming, you never get the USB plugged in on the first try. You turn it over, it doesn't work. Turn it back over the way you had it the first time. Plug it in, and now it works. Nah, that's the fusion with just changing the direction over and over again. I will clean all of this up in an unknown future. Where's his disgusting? What did I think he called it half a sausage, half a pickle? He does look like a pickle cut in half lengthwise. It's a terrible body. It really is. It's terrible. Pardon me. Oh, God, he's so heavy. And he has a battery in him, I noticed when I picked him up. When somebody said all my batteries need GPS on them, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm having a nightmare calibrating the rhinos in my twin motor rig. That's why I went with Secures. They do like an auto calibration thing. I wonder if this is long enough. I think it might be. Let's find out together. Heck yeah. It's going to pull everything off the bench. So we should probably move some stuff out of the way. But I think it will. I think it'll reach. Don't forget, blues on top. Blues on top. That was a little smoky. I mean, one could conceivably remove the motor from the vehicle by removing 3 screws, and then wouldn't be running the risk of melting their own flesh or vehicle. But why take them out? Get a new body for Rainbird. How to calibrate a Fusion? It's easy. You the same way you calibrate one of these, only these don't have a set button, so it's just holding the power button. When you turn it on, you hold the power button down until it starts to blink. You release. You tap it while the trigger is at neutral. Then you pull to full throttle. Tap it again. Then push it to full brake. Push it again, and that's it. It's calibrated. Then you'll find out if you've been running your stuff backwards the whole time. Which, I mean... Oh, wait, no, I don't have to open this up. I almost dove all the way in. I have a plug for that. This is the beauty of the Wotec tape. Bam. Bam. Yeah, blup. I'm still having issues with the mystery AR-44, so I'm putting stickers on the body. Maybe it will fix itself. That's a good way to do it. That generally does work. It's not guaranteed, but it works more than it doesn't. My TRX 4 Sport High Trail has been making weird clicking noises from new, and I think I located it. It comes from inside the front axle pumpkin, and I realize that my rear angle is angled towards the transmission. The Titan 775 is in the drawer right over there behind me. But my front axle is toward the ground. Oh. That would mean that your front upper link is too short. Should I recalibrate Tapas? It already works amazing for me, so I don't know. If it works fine and you have full speed in forward and it moves slower in reverse, then you're absolutely fine. I've had outrunner systems, particularly, little stiction there. I've had outrunner systems that I've hooked up and done no calibration at all, and they work so nice that I don't want to mess with it. So I just don't do anything. I just leave it as it is. Did you ever manage to exorcise the demons out of Lord Pennaby? He seems behaved now, and then I foolhardily went on Amazon and ordered hubs and hexes to reduce his wheel track. Guess who already has narrow hubs and hexes? Lord Pennaby. So that's as narrow as those wheels can physically go. If I want to narrow his track at all, I have to change his wheels. If it's RTR, how the heck could they put too short of a front link in there? I mean, Vanquish is all too happy to sell you. They had an incorrect length panhard bar on the Phoenix for like the first year that it was released. Yeah, I do. I need to get letters. I want to put letters on his hood, just like he was under the Bronco. The Lord letters. Oh, I do have to tin these. That'll be fun. Because we don't do... We don't do bullets. Don't do bullets. You have a choice. Don't do bullets. What color is your Executioner chassis? It's just regular carbon fiber color. What is carbon fiber? Gray? Blacky gray. With the work in 5B, he could rebuild the Bronco with a little effort. Yeah, I could build a Bronco. Should I build a Bronco? Is that what you're telling me? I can build a Bronco. I have the sides. I have a chassis. I've got a Stealth XF. I've got shocks. I am running into one problem. And charcoal. There you go. Charcoal. And here's the problem that I'm running into. I don't just rant about not buying RTRs. I live it. So I'm running out of all of those bits and bobs that come on RTRs. I'm running out of chassis braces and shock towers and shock mounts and all of that stuff because I'm building things piece by piece and not paying RTR taxes. So it's starting to come back and bite me. My element bin is emptying out pretty quickly, and my TRX4 bin is close behind. I probably have enough. You know what? After I get this G2 put in there, I'll look. I'll dig the bins and I'll find out. I might be able to do the Oops Class 1. Maybe we can recreate that. And I will put an XF in a TRX4 chassis and put that Bronco on it. Wotech is the jam. It's all I use now. It comes in a gargantuan roll. I mean, there's your roll of clear tape. And you saw how easy it was to remove the... But wait. There's more. You never need to go grab a razor knife and pick away at the film. You just go like this. You can just get your finger into the edge of it and just pull it out. It's so good. I don't know specifically what it's for, and I don't care, but it's friggin' magic, man. And when you have to cut out the little bits to attach switches down, you just stick the rest of it on the housing here, and then you can peel it off later, and it's still good. Cut it down a little narrower, slap it right here. We're going to put the switch back in the exact same spot. Wotech. I tried them all. I tried them all. I don't know how many were present for that, or even if how much I mentioned it, but Gorilla Clear, yeah, racing. This is from the Japanese dollar store, the Daiso. Then this is another one, and then I also tried the 3M. The 3M was the closest to the best. It looks just like the Gorilla, but it tended to be about $1 cheaper a roll. But this roll and this roll cost the same amount of money. So I'm a Wotech man for life. And a normal person, this is a lifetime supply of Wotech. This is my second roll, and when you get it, it goes out to the edge of the plastic, so I'm already halfway through it. You know what you should never use? 3M, what's the number? 3M trim tape. Don't use this. Once it's on forever. It's never off. You can use a heat gun and a chisel to try to get it off, but you'll regret. You will regret. So it's Wotech all day. Is that axle upgrade tape? Yeah. Wotech, it's on Amazon. It's on good old Amazon. Oh, you know what? I'm going to find out if I can post links. I probably can't, because I'm not in it. I got 7 months out of a roll. It is currently $8.99. Okay, let's see. It still won't let me. Okay, let's see. I want to see if it just disappears. It's showing up for me. If it's not there, let me know and I'll send it to. I'll ship it to Spain, and then he can work it out. Yeah, we'll sell out everywhere. Not my Wotech. Yeah, now that I search for extra large double-sided tape, heavy-duty removable 1.1 inch by 160 inch, clear and tough nano tape, multi-purpose mounting tape, picture hanging strips, adhesive poster, carpet tape. They really took the keywords to heart, and they were just like keyword it. Okay, so only I can see the link. All right. I still have it copied. All right. I sent it to Hugo on Instagram. Yeah. Shows up for me. That's neat. And I'll be like when Jay 2 Cents talks about everything, it sells out and the price goes up. I would like to think that I have that kind of power. But based on my monthly affiliate earnings, I don't think that's the case. Blue on top. Blup. We got to solder yellow down below first, though, because otherwise I won't be able to reach it. I have to hold this in an inconvenient way. Got it. Harkening back to my fresh roll of solder. Fresh-ish. I bought that roll of solder 2 years ago because I got to the point where I could see the plastic. I could see the middle of the spindle. And I was like, oh man, that's going to run out. And I'm never comfortable with running out of things. So I ordered it immediately. And then didn't need it until 2 years later. But the price of that thing has already gone up almost double since I bought that roll. And here's the crazy part. I had that first roll for near on 30 years. And the price roughly doubled between when I bought that roll in the 90s and when I bought this roll now, well, 2 years ago. And between 2023 and 2025, the price doubled again. So it took nearly 3 decades to double the first time, and then it took 2 years to double again. Only available in the U.S. Yeah. Going through my Amazon history, I got the LLPT nano tape. It's all right. There you go. It's all right. I'm sure you can find another nano tape that is similar. We used to build panels for aircraft cockpits, and there's this one panel in a Sikorsky that's just mounted with VHP tape. Sometimes we would get them back with a bulb out, and we'd have to scrape it off. Yeah. Oh, I'm not building anything right now. I'm just changing motors and stuff. On account of because. So this means that I've got the G2. I could hook up the drag brake and the reel reverse. I won't hook up either of those things. I will conveniently zip tie the wires out of the way, though. That's about the extent of that. This is not a trail rig. I don't need to turn my drag brake off. And reel reverse makes me hate myself deeply because my brain, I can't do it. I explain it this way: if you've never tried a 1080 G2, which has the ability to employ a ridiculous function called reel reverse, in which you push a button in order to engage reverse, and then so this is forward. And then say I have it hooked to this. So I'm going forward. Then when I want to go to reverse, I have to go like this and then do this to go reverse. I physically and mentally cannot do it. It cannot be done. I can't. I like to try to equate it this way. If you've never tried to do it, are you a person that plays the video games inverted? So when you pull up, you go up like an airplane? Try to play, if you play inverted, try to play regular. And if you play regular, try to play inverted. Your brain can't do it. If you have a brain that can switch back between the two, I will assume that you are an alien. Yeah, real driving mode. I love the Hobbywing real driving mode. Oh, Angry Melon is an alien? You heard it here first. When they attempt conquest to steal our seawater, he will most likely be at the lead of the charge. Yeah, inverted is the only way. Neither of my kids play inverted, which also makes me wonder. But I don't think any of the youths play inverted. So if the plane starts to go down and there's a Gen Z on it, you're all going to die. No. You turn right to go right, but you pull up like an airplane. Pull up. Not push up. That will crash you into the ground. I downloaded a game that was one of the free games on PlayStation, and it did not have an invert axis control on it. It was only push forward to go forward and pull back to go back. I couldn't do it. I literally couldn't do it. Inverted on video games is only for flying airplanes because that's just how airplanes are. No, inverted is how it is. I also don't use drag brake by default, so I actually have to apply brakes when descending. So how do you do that? Oh, so how does real car mode work? How do you hit brakes? Who the heck pushes up to go up? Nice. I'm one of those weirdos that plays inverted. Inverted is not weirdo. That's normal. Robert Johnlund is also potentially an alien. If Angry Melon is not from Sweden, then we have to assume that the invasion has already begun and that they have spread out across the planet, because you can't do both. I don't fly anywhere, so knowing to pull back to go up is useless to me. That's just how it is. If you want to look up, you pull back. Okay. Instead of a controller, it's your head. If he wants to look up, what does he do? What does he do to look up? This is the opposite of how people work. If you push your head forward, you look down. So it's not even about airplanes. It's about just basic ergonomics. If you pull, what do you do to look up? You pull up. Pushing forward to look up is backwards of basic human beings. We don't operate that way. I'm sorry, Vault Boy. But there are lunatics in the chat. Okay. All right. I feel like I don't want to dignify inverted is normal for people born before 2000. I feel, what is it? What was it? What's the meme? I want this image removed because I'm in it. Yeah. I feel personally and directly attacked. But yes, I was born during the presidency of Richard Nixon, so I play inverted controls. Yes, this is more, yeah, Red Cat Rants are just angry and sad, yes. I'm right-handed, but I use my left hand to turn and right hand for throttle. Probably from years of competition shooting. Oh, okay. How you hold your controller is individual as anything. I've seen people put this right against the abdomen and drive like this. I've seen them do it. I've seen this. You name it. I've seen somebody drive in a way. I know plenty of left-handed people that got so used to driving like this, they can't even use a controller that's flipped around the other way. Like they've programmed their brains. They're now inverted steering. Like that's the only way they can do it. So yeah, how you do the controller is as individual. It's like why I can't do dual stick. My brain, but in a video game, I'm more comfortable in a driving game with sticks than I am with a wheel and pedals, because I want to say it's kind of in an uncanny valley thing. There's no uncanny valley here. Like, the pistol grip radio has been around since the 80s, and I've had all that time to get used to it. When I sit down, I've got a sim wheel, like to try on like Gran Turismo and stuff. There's no, like the feedback isn't right, so it doesn't feel enough like a real car. Also, the steering wheels tend to turn like this. Unless you spend that like big sim money and get yourself like a 900-degree wheel, it doesn't feel, this feels more engaged to me, and these have about the same amount of throw as a typical simulation wheel. So just give me a DualShock and I'll just play on that. Ambidextrous? No, ambidextrous people. Ugh. Have you ever got that look from your kids, that bewildered look when you're trying to explain something that is sensible? Yes. Yes. Make sure that you're talking about a stick, yoke, and not a scroll wheel. Oh, yeah. No, definitely operational, physical operational. No. If you have a, like, this is, I use this thing, you can't charge it while you're using it. This goes down and this goes up. If you were using a touch mouse like this, inverted, that is an equal level of psychopathy. That's a greater level of psychopathy than people who push forward to go up. Yeah, and a wheel that doesn't turn at least 900 degrees, there's no point. Yeah. You're a young buck. LBJ was president when I was born. Wow. Yeah, you got me. You got me. But that means both of us, we were still... Mac OS natural scrolling is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. On a touch, like on a trackpad, that's away from me and that's towards me. Pulling the page down. You push it up and you pull it down. That's not the same as a stick, though. You should try one of those single stick drone controllers. I crashed within 5 seconds every time. I used to know a guy I used to hunt and shoot with was right side dominant, but left eye dominant. Shoot, yeah. Thank God. I grew up with a guy who was right-handed, but left eye dominant. So he basically, it was easier just to teach himself to shoot left-handed. So back in the paintball days, he could shoot from either side with either hand as organically as I'd ever seen anyone do it. It was really genuinely quite ridiculous. And it made me very angry because when it comes to shooting, I am as left-handed as right-handed. My left arm is useless when it comes to the operation of a firearm. It's just there to hold the front of it. I cannot shoot left-handed in any fashion whatsoever. So I had to train myself to do the leans. I'm still shooting right-handed, but I would lean out like this and lean out like this. It's all about making a small profile. But left-handed, I can't do anything left-handed. Sometimes I will grab one of these fellas and I'll be like, oh, I'm holding this in place. I just need to get this screw in. I feel like I've suffered a brain injury because I can't even, I'm like trying to guide the driver into the hole. That's why, I feel like, well, I try to tell myself that I'm in with most people where we have the smart hand and then the strong hand. This is the one that has to like hold the thing up while this hand is doing something delicate. So yeah, I got the strong left arm and the weak right arm, but this is the fidelity hand. How into paintball were you? I heard the Vanquish guys talking about making paintball guns back in the days. I started playing paintball in 1987. Either end of 87 or early 88. I had a Sheridan pump that I traded. Hey, there's a tie in here. I traded a RC-10 gold pin sprint car conversion for a paintball gun, and then played paintball for like 25 years. And then the sport killed itself. Maybe the stick difference is younger gens have less exposure to Atari. Yes. Sputter Crawler is absolutely right. The next generation, the alphas, to them, this will be a foreign concept. This is how they operate everything. They just touch it. They just touch it. Mouse and keyboard will go. My first legit paintball marker was a VM68. And you have my condolences. That thing was a hog. We had a lot of guys come out with VM68s. That thing was a hog. The strong hand and the smart hand, yeah. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm ambidextrous, but I'm not that far off. I'm as far off as you can get. I'm 6'8", and back then in the 350 range was a paintball magnet. Yeah. Yeah. I remember when the first RC-10 was released and the first Schumacher buggy. Yeah, I had a Kyosho. I know I've definitely told the story about having a Kyosho. Kyosho Ultima was my first. Oh, battery's dead. Oh, it's an 850. That would be why. We can throw that on the charger after I get this figured out. Now, forward or reverse? Definitely not calibrated. Beep. The blue case is definitely not fast. It gets the job done. I was right again. What was I right about? Ooh. We used to run Kyosho Optim with hand-mount motors, 7-cell hump packs, twist timer chargers, 1,000 milliamp NiCads. The VP guy that designed the Ripper was one of the main designers of the high-end cockers, which I could only drool about back in my paintball days. Okay. I'm looking over the wall to see if I can reach it. This is half retro. I never had a cocker when I was young because I couldn't afford it. And they always looked too complicated. I became a Palmer guy, and I was a Palmer Pursuit guy for a long time. But I don't think I'll get will I get demonetized? Screw it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I can reach it on the peg. Oh, it's covered in spider webs. I'm going to pull a muscle in my back. Okay, there we go. Just going to turn the compressor off here. If I can find the damn lever. Gotta get the spider webs off. I don't know what YouTube's rules are. Like, I know that all the gun tubers are retiring, and I don't know if that is by their choice or just by how they sense the direction that YouTube is going. But if we find out that we're demonetized, that's fine. Okay, so from way back in the olden times, this is anyone with a paintball background, this will mean something to. Anyone else, it will not. 23314. I have a body that has a 5-digit serial number, so it's not all old stuff. There's still there's some new stuff. Well, okay, no. This is all old stuff. Some of this stuff is very old. We've got a Lapco bore sizer. It is a 680 down there. I want to say Empire. It's the barrel. Original brass ram. This is a Palmer. We got the purple 3-way was already on here. I think we've got a full lightened out. Yeah, that goes back to the 80s. So I built one up with I built this back block though. That's mine. That's the Delrin kind of anodizing, oxidizing over time. Real deal benchmark 45 right there, benchmark with the Hoagie wraparounds. Oh no, this tank would not recertify. Let's see how. Let's get the if this zipper will work, we'll find out how long this tank's been out of hydro. Yeah. Oh, we got it. Okay. Worse than that, this is a 4500 tank, a Crossfire 45500. There you go. They're gonna fill this one at the range for you, right? Oh 09, baby! 09. Now, over there under a bench we have 2 scuba tanks, which are now out of hydro as well, and we just filled our own tanks for years and years. We weren't paying to get air. Sounds like a cocker. Yeah. Just don't say it's a G word. Yeah. Now I found out why my front axle clicks. Those Traxxas idiots put normal sports front upper on my Sport High Trail. That's why my front axle points to the ground. Yeah. Yeah, and not even a 68 cubic inch tank. 45. It didn't used to be this yellow either. It was just clear when it started. There's still a little bit of air in there. Yeah. Well, they started calling them markers kind of moving into the 90s because of the stigma associated with the G word. Yeah. Those were times, those were good times, but determinedly times gone by. I don't know if I'd have it in me. At this age, I don't know if I'd have it in me. And then I would have to buy, I'd have to buy a new tank at least. Oh wow. The fake, it's just dissolving. It's all stuck to my hands. So anybody that played back in the olden times, there's your a little trip for the Wayback Machine. And the kids today, they couldn't even the weight of it. And they all airsoft now, which I mean, on a level, I get it. I raced buggies. Well, I never raced buggy. I put a truck conversion. That barrel's still nice and clean. Not a mark in there. Look at that. Clean. I raced stadium truck, mostly. I went through a series. I had buggies. I owned a Yokomo. I went through all of that stuff. But they were really hyper competitive. Hyper competitive, particularly around these parts. Stadium truck was almost like where you went to be, like if you were less good at it. I don't have within me, I don't have that part. I don't have that competitive spirit, right? Always wanted a rainmaker. I think we all have memories of those bruises. My EDC, the game that the gun that I play, the marker that I was most fond of. Here's another. This will be another Wayback Machine for y'all. This tank is probably even further out of hydro than the first one. This thing is mostly covered in sawdust. So, my favorite of all time, a Palmer's Pursuit blazer from the very early 1990s. Somewhere around here, I still have the receipt from when I bought it, and I just love it so much. I love it so much. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And then there was always the argument over, was the cocker mechanism first or did Palmer do it first? And I still choose to believe that Palmer did it first. Serial number 307. Man, it takes me back. You know, it takes me back. And you could not get barrels for these because they just use it's split right there, and that bolt, you loosen that bolt and the barrel just slides out. So you couldn't get barrels for it. So a buddy of mine bought this carbon barrel, hated it, absolutely hated it. So I was like, I'll take it. I chucked it up into a wood lathe, and I turned the cocker threads off the back of it and made it a tight a slip fit, and I threw it in here. This is I want to say it's 679. It might be a 677. This is a tiny barrel. And I shot the guy who gave me the barrel. I shot that guy so many times that day. So many times. That was his own fault. This is the other one. Not Cerakote, the other one. Why can't I remember the name of it? Somebody will think of it. I have no idea what those brands are. All I know about paintball is Tippmann. There are no Tippmanns in here. We were not Tippmann people. I've got an Automag, so Airgun Designs. I've got, old stuff. Nothing that uses a battery. Oh, Guy 307 would want it because of the serial number. Yeah, it is 307. Blazer 307. Well, top quality, here's the deal. Those rod ends nest. You could just dial it out 4 millimeters and put it back on, or to whatever length it needs to be. I don't own a high trail, so I'm not 100% sure how long that front upper needs to be. I don't know. Sandy. Oh. I think the microphone has enough noise canceling to cancel all that out. But the pulse width on this thing is definitely not turned up because I can I had a Tippmann with a barrel that put the backspin. I have a flatline. Not the flatline. I have the aftermarket one. I can't. What did they call it? Was it the flatline? I have a barrel around here with one of those on it. They were hilarious. I mean, not super functional all the time, but man, were they fun. I remember the markers with the original flatline. I am from that era. Jay Leeson is headed to bed. I feel you. The coffee drink is the only thing that stops me from going to bed immediately after this is over. Reverses at 50 by default. Nice. Max brake at 100%. Initial brake at 0. Drag brake at 100%. Yes. Drag brake rate at 50%. Neutral range is normal. Start mode punch right in the middle. Pulse width, they set it at 8. We're going to go all the way to 16. And then I want my BEC at 7.4, which will speed this servo up. And then freewheeling is disabled. Okay. Probably an Apex. Apex sounds right. Yeah, that flatline barrel was really novel, except that they would throw them out far enough that they would just bounce off your target and they would laugh at you. I was playing in a flood control with some of my nephews, and I had the flatline, and I got 2 quality ones that day where I saw one of my nephews out way farther than you would engage anyone. He was probably 200 feet away, and I was just flatlining him at him, and he's watching him just slow walk, like through the air, like he can watch him spinning, and they would just go right past him. And I got one into the air, and he goes, it must have been like in his blind spot, because it was just coming straight at him at low speed and hit him. And when he looked down, he had a vest on, and it had one of those little plastic D-rings on it, and the ball burst on that little plastic D-ring. And he was like, I can't believe that just happened. And I was like, I can't believe that just happened. John Holmes said, we live in a time where we can actually like or dislike rock crawlers. There used to be only when what you could conjure up. Yeah. That's a lot faster on 7.4. Come on, Sandy. Climb the sign. No, just going to push the mat out of the way. That's a weight thing, because Rainbird did it just fine. Well, a couple of us were talking about paintball. We're just boring the rest of the people. I feel like that was, and particularly when I started doing it, it was so niche that there were not a lot of people doing it. We used to all pile into a car together. We'd drive down to the only place where you could buy paintballs. And they would buy them in sandwich bags, 100 balls at a time. It's a little different now. Well, now it basically doesn't exist. And I genuinely hope, I see too many parallels. I see too many parallels between that hobby that I used to have and the hobby that I have now. And I don't want to see this industry go the way that industry went, because needless to say, it did not end well. And I don't just mean from the perspective of when a new release comes out, we look at it quizzically. I don't mean just that. I mean that the way the whole industry appears to be structuring itself. I mean that Horizon buys up everything. And there was a big paintball conglomerate that was buying up everybody. And it just bought up everybody. And if they viewed them as competition, Duratrax, they just shuttered them because they didn't want them competing. Or who made the F3 and the F4 Illustrator? Well, okay, so you had Airgun Designs. They got rid of them. You had the guys that made the Illustrator. Air Concepts International, ACI. They got rid of ACI. They got rid of all of these companies that innovated. And then what did we end up with? So, I mean, if you think about it today, we have... There's a stand-up comedian that has a bit about how democracy doesn't work, right? Because in America you have two choices. In a dictatorship you have one choice, and in America you have two choices, but both of the choices are bad. So we're kind of getting towards that with this. We still have 4-ish, but some of them are making themselves not options. There's not currently anything in the Element lineup that I want to buy. I kind of have everything that I would want from Element. There's not anything in the Traxxas lineup that I want to buy aside from the Sport, and I already have one. Vanquish has got the Phoenix and the VRD. I've already got both of those. It's really hard to get things like Cross, and their Cross is a little too RC four-wheel drive for me. Do you notice I didn't even mention RC four-wheel drive as an option? They know, they're all too aware of how niche they are. Someone asked about mixing on the Mias. I don't have the Mias here anymore. I only have the Hot RC. And so far as I know, I haven't found mixing in it at all. I had a paintball tournament for my bachelor party. Man, that sounds awesome. For the TRX for lockers, would a 6 kg micro do the job? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. They don't have to, they're not doing much. And I imagine that a Traxxas 2065 is probably like 3 kg. My only paintball experience was in 5th grade when a buddy came to class with a pink polka-dotted OU starter jacket and some impressive welts from playing. That kept me away from the game. Yeah. Paintball is still popular. It's just as niche. Almost all airsoft fields are half paintball. And all of those airsoft fields used to be all paintball. Is Ruby on 4.19s? Yes. Louise Mallets. Yeah, ACI. I thought of it. High trail has longer rod ends than low trail. Should be the same rod length. Ah. Still embarrassing mistake by Traxxas. Yeah, on 570 euro. Yeah. The angry caterpillar is famous. You're gonna have to do something about it. That's the crazy thing. I don't. I think Element should make an updated gatekeeper that has IFS2 and keeps the swing arms. Well, they did. That's the Zool 2. So you've just given, if Element didn't have it before, you just gave them a perfect idea, because they could just take a Zool 2 and put an old gatekeeper cage on it. Because Element, either all the guys that designed things quit or got fired, because some of the decisions they've been making as of recent don't make sense to anyone. Well, they don't make sense to me. Is the Surpass 550 35 turn gone now? Amazon brings up a Ghoul RC in a black case. It might be. I did a search for brushed motors when I was looking for the Rocket 540s, and like next to nothing comes up. The Injora's still got a couple out. They have the really cheap $13, $14 ones, but the available number of choices is getting smaller and seemingly by the minute. A lot of these companies want the new people to get into the hobby, but then they don't want to keep people in the hobby, it feels like. Organized Chaos, you are pretty much spot on. That is the same feel that I get, because we want to sell you a $700 RTR, and then we're done. It's like a cell phone company. Oh, do you not have a cell phone? How would you like the greatest deal you've ever seen? We'll give you a phone for free. We'll give you reduced costs for 2 years. We'll give you free insurance, all this stuff. Oh, you're already a customer? You've been with us for 20 years? Who cares? Just keep paying your fixed payment monthly bill. Don't make any loud noises, and everything will be fine. So yeah, every industry aims itself at, I mentioned it in the Discord, infinite growth, where they just assume they're going to have new customers over and over and over and over again forever. But the Gen Zs are taking a shot at that, because most of the Gen Zs don't want to do anything. They certainly don't want to go out and play with toy cars that cost $1,000. Because they're still mad that they're never going to get to own a home. That's not my fault. I didn't do that. You can blame the boomers for that. Exactly like, well, the rear axle / front axle on the Comfox, it's the same axle. They just did the same axle twice. MST style. I'm waiting for my 35 kg 6-volt blue case servo for my Sport High Trail. Yeah. So it's an absolutely viable option. Oh, and by the way, if you've been with Verizon for 20 years, you're not qualified for any of the specials. None of them. I was browsing something on the internet, and before I had browsers that had all of the like active ad blockers running all the time, a Spectrum ad came on the side, and it was like, get internet for this much. And I was like, that's less than I pay. And I'd already been with them since we've been 18 years. I'd say 18 years we've been with Spectrum. And I'm like, so a new customer can get their stuff cheaper than what I've been paying for it. So I called them up and I was like, what's the deal? And they're like, oh, well, that offer is only good for new customers. And I was like, but their speed is higher. And she goes, oh, well, we can just turn your speed up. What? Just like that. Just like that. Hey, Chris Cord with a free one. And Jeremy with a free one. Charles Hurley giving out the free ones. I'm a Gen Z and I compensate for never owning a home by crying over a custom-built RC. There you go. Not to get geopolitical, but the housing market has definitely moved to the level of too big to fail. Because if that housing market fails, that's it. That's it. It's all doomed. I'm not doomed because we're not upside down. But most people are. Most people aren't just upside down, they're underwater. Companies are like Gen Zers, we want infinite growth, but we don't want to do what it takes to earn it. I really don't understand the hate for the giggly monster. It's got so much potential. Every RTR gets the upgrade treatment. It's part of the fun. Does it have potential, though? What is the potential that it has? What is the potential? What are we making it into that it has the potential to be? Because when I see a Phoenix, no, let's go simpler. When I see a TRX4 Sport, a TRX4 Sport has potential. What do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a TRX4 Sport? Do you want it to be a trail truck with a hard body on it? Make it that. Do you want it to be a full comp crawler? Make it that. Do you want to stretch the wheelbase? Go ahead. What do you want to do to it? Do that. But to me, everything about I've been calling it Roll-A-Mon so many times in the past 48 hours that I almost forgot its real name. The Gila-Mon, what is the potential there? That is a proprietary axle with proprietary bits mated to a proprietary chassis with a proprietary gearbox with proprietary everything. If you change, we get into that ship of Theseus argument again. If you change the axles on your Roll-A-Mon, then what was the point? The whole seller for that vehicle is the gimmickry of the axles. But the gearbox inside won't fit a motor bigger than a 36 millimeter can. So what if you want something bigger? What if you want to put a Fusion 8 or a 775 in it? Well, you can't. And there's probably a reason that you can't. Because if the guy that was designing it worked on it for 2 years, maybe there's a reason they don't want you putting that much power into it. I watched an 11-minute ExoCage video before I came out here to do this, and the performance of that thing on a Fusion 2300 looked horrible. Horrible. The CG on that thing, not just the CG, the roll center, the behavior of it overall, it's not a Super Capra. It does everything objectively worse than a Capra. I don't, and not having held one in my hands or even seen one in person, I would have to say that for at least for now, the Gila-Mon is Taylor Swift's music. Maybe it's good, but it's just not for me, is what it is. There's a lot of things that aren't for me. I don't like everything. I also don't dislike everything. Yeah, Todd's Brandl's custom Capra is the same size. They picked a size that is like, it's too close. It's not big enough to be big. It's not big enough to be a large scale, but it's not compact enough to not do anything that, like, a guy. Here's the deal. Okay, guys, figure out how to make me make 10 times more money than I make now. That's all I'm asking. And then I will go out as soon as that check clears, and I will get a Helaman and I will get a Capra, and we will put them side by side, and we will see how much money it takes to make them equally competent. And I'll tell you this right now. The Capra is not a very good crawler out of the box. It needs some work on it. It comes on trail grapplers, for God's sake. But you're definitely going to be able to get that Capra farther for less money than you'll be able to get the Roll-em-on. Because the Capra well and truly appears to have had more work/thought put into it. It seems, I hate to say it, from where I'm standing right now, the Capra seems better engineered. It's like trying to explain, do you like Taylor Swift or Lindsey Sterling? Yeah. I'm a merman. I love it. I've never heard of Taylor Swift or heard of the Guillemot. You'd be better off, really. I think you should do a stupid dumb by moving the springs on Wolverine and seeing how it impacts performance. How do you mean moving them? It's going to be a beast of a line killer. Make it four-wheel steer with new axles, better tires, and some desert lizards. Neil, you just built something else. Neil, if you want a four-wheel steer rig with good tires and desert lizards, build it. Go buy a cage or braze a cage and build it. And you will have something empirically better than a Guillemot, which appears a little bit designed by committee, a little bit, are we proving a proof of concept here? Because they went with something that has the ability to mimic cutting brake, so you can stop each wheel individually. Axial can't even get dig right. That's just trying to stop one drive shaft. They can't get it right. And now we're going to try to stop each individual tire. I know your reach should always exceed your grasp, but your grasp has got to work before you try to exceed it. Sell your soul to either Traxxas or Horizon and you'll just get the rigs to free. But then I would have to speak real nice about everything. Real nice. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't come out with a bigger set of wheels like 2.5. 2.6s already exist. And then 6 scales, 2.9s. I'm a death clock guy. I refuse to be a Swiftie. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I've heard of Taylor Swift, sadly. Yeah. Hey, all you smart trail crawler guys, if I put 12mm brass hub extensions, does it make my truck turn worse? Yes and no. Wider track will have a larger turning circle. Doesn't make it turn any worse. That's just geometry. If the wheels are farther apart, the vehicle is going to cut a larger circle to turn. So it's not just going to make it terrible. Like I have plenty of rigs here running extenders, and I mean there's always dig. Using the Giggly Monster's new axles. So 2 front axles on it. So now you've built yourself a four-wheel steer thing on a cage with a gearbox that can't fit a motor that's big enough. And you've shelled out God knows how much money when you can get a pair of offset pumpkin BTA Capra axles. And what you won't have is a somewhat functional cutting brake mimic system in a frangible axle housing. I'm not anti-innovation. I'm just saying that, Neil, the thing that you have in your head exists today. You could build it. You could build it to whatever spec you wanted to run, whatever tire you wanted to run, whatever cage to run, whatever body. You could build it. And at the price point that they're selling these RTRs for, and the amount of parts that have to be discarded, then like, it's probably cheaper to build it from scratch. I don't hate on the Summit. I'd rather have a Summit than a Roll-em-on. I have a problem with the Hemi Warlock. I have a problem with the name as well. If you try to Google search, go to a Google box, type in Guillemon and search for it, it'll say, do you mean Guillemon, who is a Digimon? Because if you put MON at the end of anything, you're getting thrown in with Digimon and Pokemon and all of the other pocket and digital monsters. The further your tire is from the Kingpin, the more scrub force you have on the tire requires more torque to steer. There's also that. I don't have dig. I need to get overdrive or underdrive for my sport to turn a little better on trails. It's cheap to do. AMK is sold everywhere. I'm into scalers, but I don't buy them. I build them because I save $200 to $300 more dollars and they're way more scale. Yeah. Then why make new RCs? Well, to sell RCs. That's the cart and the horse. You put the cart behind the horse so that it will go. They make things to sell things. There is 100% a market for the Guillemon. And they have all the talking heads they need to talk them up, and people will buy them, and then it will either be a success or a failure, but that success or failure will not be at any point based on performance. It will not be based on capability. It will not be based on return on investment. It will be based on people buying things because they want the new thing. And those people will always be. We need those people. We need those people because those people in their own way drive innovation. Did we get innovation with the Guillemon? No. It's everything we've seen before delivered in a slightly different way. And the way that they delivered it is not a thing that I want. If you're driving alone or with someone other Guillemons, I'm sure it's fun as soon as it gets a capable tire. But if you're wheeling with some 10 scale buddies, you'll always be driving somewhere else. And also, what I'm really waiting for, we have not seen a video of somebody putting an LP rupture on a Guillemon. I want to see what happens to that thing when it has a truly capable tire on it. I'm going to make my Typhon Mega go faster than my Red Cat Valkyrie. I mean, go for it. Oh, Summit means something. Okay, I got to go back up. You can't hate on something you've not experienced. Okay, that's true. But it's also not because did you remember what I just said about 90 seconds ago? There's nothing on the Guillemon we haven't seen before. It's just presented in a slightly, but now with a hat. That's what they've done. I just had a rig here with a cutting brake on it, like a month ago. So it's got cutting brake, and it can do front and rear dig. You mean like a Losi comp crawler? Only that wasn't actually doing dig. It was just disengaging a gearbox. I am curious. Oh, I have curiosities. I'm very curious about the inner workings, the real minutia of the Guillemon. But I'm not, I don't want one because... If anything, what did I just do? Listen, what did I just do with Jolly Green? I did the opposite of a Guillemon. He used to need like 7 channels on a radio. Now he needs 2. Because you know what that vehicle needs? Not that stuff. I didn't use the lockers. So I took them off. I don't need cutting brakes or dig on it. Because it's a 6x and it can't have dig. Dig wouldn't work. If you stop all 4 rear wheels, the front wheels aren't going anywhere. So while you're on the topic of the Roll-em-on, what innovation, if any, would you like to see in the crawler? In the crawler market or on the Guillemon? Um, in terms of innovations, we're working with 70-year-old technology, right? Linked suspension. Innovations I would like to see is I would like to see the market get driven the same way that the TV market is driven, the market for televisions, right? Because what you do is things come out and they are I can never remember the phrase for that thing, that prize thing that you have up at the top. Remember when Pioneer made the first OLED TV? Like, oh God, it had to be 25 years ago now. And the TV was like $30,000 because they were the first to ever do it, right? Now, an OLED TV is like $1,200, right? And you can get an LED TV for like $200. I want more of that for us. Hobbywing probably can't go any cheaper than they do on Fusion SEs. And they're comfortable selling Fusion Pros at $150 because nobody can compete with their FOC. Okay. First off, forget hoping that the big four are going to innovate, because they're not. They're not going to do it. Don't expect anything that shakes you to your core from Axial Traxxas Vanquisher Element. It's not going to happen. They're not going to make us anything that makes us go, wow. The last new release I saw that made me go, wow, was the Phoenix. And after that, like, Vanquish started to do that move. Element still makes one vehicle. One. That's it. They make the Enduro in 74 different flavors. Now this one has a scratch and sniff body, but they haven't changed anything on it. And you can yell at them all day that their pinion is too small. And why won't you give us dig? And they still won't do it. So it's up to somebody else. Look at the size of a Stealth X. Why has no one made an operable dig module for a Stealth X? Is it because only lunatics want it? Why has no one made an operable dig unit for a TRX4 gearbox? Is it because only lunatics want it? I don't understand. Like, I don't expect innovation from anyone. Boom Racing has a transfer case with two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, has a dig in one version and 32% OD. Right. Why aren't there more of those? You didn't mention Red Cat, so keep watching for their next release. It'll be awesome. Red Cat. Maybe, here's the thing. If you give somebody infinite attempts, they're eventually going to get it right. So Red Cat now might be, you ain't convinced me not to get one, quite the opposite. I like the underdog. Neil! Axial is a subsidiary of Horizon Hobbies, the largest hobby manufacturer on planet Earth. They are not the underdog. If anything, they are the federal government of RC. Traxxas makes one rock crawler, the TRX4, and they make 74 different flavors of it. I know the TRX4M is a thing that exists. I just wish that it didn't. So, if you want innovation, you're going to have to make something new. And no one is going to do that because I think we're all complicit on one level. I just bought a TRX4 Sport. They put a clipless body on it, and that is the sum total of changes that they've made on it in what? 8 years? 7, 8, 9 years? They put a clipless body on it. And it works great. I don't want them to ever discontinue the TRX4. I want to continue the TRX4 to run for another 10 years so that we will never run out of spare parts for it, ever. These other companies are operating in a way that harkens back to what happened to paintball through the 90s and the 2000s, which is things that were no longer are. I have a Sony action cam. It's inside Bruce right now. It's 10 years old. Remember when 10 years old didn't seem like that much? Right? Oh, I've had this for 10 years. There is no evidence through Sony that basically that camera existed. It used to have an app that you could like do GPS overlays and stuff with it because the camera has GPS in it. Oh, that is gone. That's gone. You can access the LCD menus on the side of the camera, and because they haven't changed the NP-BX1 in literally 20 years, you can still buy replacements. This is a brand new one right here, and they're cheap. I want someone to release a turnkey FPV crawler that doesn't actually suck. I think a turnkey FPV crawler, I think Red Cat is probably your most likely release of that, but it will suck. Everyone is out of ideas. Hollywood, automotive industry, toy cars, just remakes. Yeah. And I will soon have 2 Sony action cams. We're going all in. If you think cameras are bad, look at laptops. Try to find a laptop part for a 5-year-old laptop. I've made this analogy before. I'll make it again. Shimano is the Horizon Hobbies of cycling and to some extent fishing. Horizon Hobbies doesn't have the ability to pretend that the past doesn't exist. Shimano creates its own history. I have a bicycle over there that has a group of components called Ultegra, and it is Ultegra 6700. My bicycle came out in the same year that Ultegra 6800 came out. When Shimano releases the replacement product, the 6800, they're up to like Ultegra 9000 now. When they release the new one, that old one, they even delete the PDFs. It's gone. Never existed. We never even made that. Do you need a replacement part? Too bad. You can buy these new ones, though. They don't exist anymore. A neighbor of mine had a mountain bike that was like this. And I'm not a mountain bike guy, but he had this mountain bike. It probably had $5,000 in gear on it. Hydro brakes when hydro brakes were new. Fantastic dual piston calipers, the whole thing. At one point, he'd had the bike probably about 12, 13 years. Took it in to get it serviced. And all the bike shop could tell him was, you basically need to replace everything. They're like, these lines have started to go. The hydraulic lines, they haven't made these hydraulic lines in years. So I can't plumb a line from your lever to your caliper, so you'd have to replace it all or just run it until it stops working. And we are poor folk compared to that world. I'm sure there's some of you dirty mountain bikers in here. That disintegrating thing really, really dirtied me up. The mountain bike people, my goodness. Yeah. $10,000 mountain bike. That's why, to me, the notion of the H10 Origin is offensive. But to many people, the H10 Origin, they go, big deal. Like $3,500? So what? Yeah, Shimano XTR, fantastic. I mean, my Ultegra, because mine is a rim brake cable pull system, that Ultegra system will outlive me. It still uses the same brake cables and shift cables that have been used for decades. Since they invented, and now my brain loses words by the day, where they integrated SIS? Integrated, where they did the integrated shifter brake lever. Before that, you had to reach down to the suicide levers. Yeah, since they invented that, they keep trying to change it now because it went from 7 speed to 8 speed to 10 speed to 12 speed to on and on and on. And when I talk about that, I mean just on the cassette. So there's 2 in the front and 12 in the back. So now you got 24. And remember 10 speeds? 10 speed now means there's 1 in the front and 10 in the back. Which, again, is not innovation. It's just putting more gears on it, making the chains thinner. Yeah, you don't just buy a new thing. Don't fix the thing. I thought my GT was expensive at $2,800. Yeah. The new Specialized Levo S-Works could be $18,000. My Trek Marlin has hydraulic disc brakes, and this is a 16-speed. Yeah. They have, there are touring bikes with transmissions on them now. Like, fully housed in the thing. Full fluid-filled transmissions. You can get hydraulic tubing to fit the old discontinued brake systems from engineering suppliers that do parts for CNC machines. But the average guy with a bike, is he going to go to an engineering supplier and be like, hey, can you source me some brake line? He's just going to buy a new bike. Because they tried to train into us not to fix things, just replace them. And the problem that, are we in full circle on planned obsolescence? I mean, at a certain point, it's going to swing back around, because what happened is, with planned obsolescence, people stopped knowing how to fix things. So now people don't know how to fix things. And then what do you have? Like, they're not going to be able to make the things fast enough. Do you know how many times I have had to I forgot my thought when he said 5B. How was it back in the day with RC that they made threaded rod for links tougher? You mean, how were they tougher back then? Or how did they make them tougher? Physically tougher? Like hardened? I'm not sure I understand the question. Scale brakes on a crawler? I mean, that'd be like somebody is trying to make nitro crawlers, you know it, because people like loud noises. For me, a big part of the whole experience is how quiet they are. I challenge you to create something innovative from scratch so we can change the industry with a Crawler Canyon original. Create a product with your experience. I believe in you. I'm not a company or a corporation. I'm an idiot in a shed. I make things in the engineering and machining school of that's close enough. I have an ability to work with what I have and make the parts that I need, but I mean, like, fabricating a part from scratch would require me to learn a language that I don't know. Because I would have to make something in 3D print prototypes to get prototypes made. And honestly, I live in a time in my life where I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't think it's uncommon for a person to want somebody else to make that thing. I mean, I make chassis all the time, but I'm not inventing, just making things. Would you be interested in building Zoidberg-sized rig on a copper rock bouncer cage, like a mix between Zoidberg and RoboKitty? This summer I'm going to design and make it. Neat! Did you decide if you're going to paint 5B or leave it dove gray? I'm probably going to paint it. It seems too lazy to just leave it like this. Although, I mean, it is. I'm going to have to sand it down before I paint it because it's already scarred up from that first go. Variable shock mounts actuated by servos. I think somebody's actually done that. I think I've seen a video of that. What all sorts of Scion bits did you used to make? I made a thing called a radiator cooling plate. That's what I called them. There was just a huge gap between the core support and the front bumper. So I made a piece. Every car nowadays has that piece. We didn't have that piece. So I made one for myself because I was tired of dropping sockets down onto the splash guards in front of the radiator. So I made that piece and I sold about 10,000 of them. And then people would get cold air intakes put into them, and the cold air intake would pass the intake into the fender well right across a piece of metal, right across the pinched metal of where they pinched the parts of the unibody together. So it would wear a groove through the metal tube of your intake. So I made a little plate for that had a little rubber groove on it, and then that stopped. I made things to solve problems. I did short shifters, shift knobs, shifter bushings, both for the inside and the outside bushings. I made front wind splitters that went down under the front bumper. I made, there was a little diagnostic tool called the scan gauge. I made a little scan gauge mount that went down into a little cubby hole in the middle. Very clean. I still have one in my car. And what else did I make? I made a trim plate. A lot of people took the plastic cover off their engine, and I made a metal plate that went over the top to cover up the coil packs, just like, a little decorative piece. And I did that stuff for about 15 years. Super Scale RC does the servo shock mounts for active ride height. I know I'd seen it before. The hover skirt craft skirt system was designed by an idiot on a shed on the Isle of Wight. Never underestimate guys in shed with time on their hands. I mean, that's fair. A counterweight on the end of a boom that swings out to prevent you from rolling out. I feel like somebody did that too. I think I've seen that video too. Please paint it root beer brown. No, he has to be white because of the Blanco thing. The reason I got into 3D printing is because if I want something and it doesn't exist, I'll just design it and make it. Yeah, I feel you. But my skills long predate 3D printing. So I am a 3D printer. I just make things from aluminum and Delrin and wood and plastic and everything else. If there was a way to exactly recreate the Citroen CV suspension with the push thing, somebody might figure it out. What happened to if something works really well, just leave it alone. Ugh. Penty's inserts looked a little stiff on the last video. No, I don't think so. He's basically running softs. Running softs all around. And I think he has in his tires, I want to say they are Tim Tins narrowed down. So the only way I could soften him up would be to shift to Injora inners and use more fridge foam. That is true. Marco, that is absolutely true. I am a 3D deleter. Yeah, like a sculptor. They start with something big and end with something small. That's what I do. I turn it all into the sawdust, plastic, and metal shavings that are all over the shop. 2 RS100s, behind the axle, Capra, center pumpkin, no tie rod. Do you think there'd be an advantage to it? The dual servo thing? I mean, isn't there a Traxxas? There's a Traxxas that uses 2 steering servos. One pushes one way and one pushes the other. I don't think so. I think the additional weight and complexity, moving the wheels on the end of a Capra is not particularly difficult. Servos start to get taxed when the tires start to get really big, meaning like 575s. Other than that, I think one servo is probably just better. White Hilux, Buddy, with your favorite hot storm wheels would look awesome. I love these wheels, because they're the same one that's on baseline, but this is the width. And as I mentioned, I would like it about 4 millimeters shorter, narrower per side. I want him 8 to 10 millimeters narrower than he is now. And I have the narrowest hexes that I can run and the narrowest hubs that I can run. This is just the width that these are. Getting these under that body is going to require new wheels, much as I don't want to do that, because I'm certainly not changing the axles. True four-wheel steer, all tires turn independently. Oh, man. Okay, I take back what I said. I want to see that happen. I want to see power crab. I want to see you turn the front wheels like that and the back wheels like that and then give it throttle, because I honestly don't know what will happen. If this one's full this way, this one this way, and then those like that, I want to see what happens. That's the four-wheel steer I want to see. I can only find one set of Hot wheels on Amazon and not find the way they look. Yeah, these are gone. The one-piece ones are gone, and I can't use those because they don't have adjustable offset. What size driver figure for Bruce? 10-inch. Those are the ones that are on the way from the UK. 10 inches tall. Finding 10 inches is... Finding a 10-inch figure is tough. 12-inch everywhere. 7-inch everywhere. Again, we're talking about figures. The size of Bruce, which it even says underneath on the bottom, 1/10 scale. What? If this is 1/10 scale and Bruce is 1/10 scale, look at Tamiya AS20 Insignia White. I've got an off-white that I'm going to use. It's just like a slightly off-white. And it's I want to say it's Magnolia, so it'll work. A friend developed action suspension strain gauges for RC cars that just shocks 3,000 times a second. Seems like that's probably enough. If you squint, the truck kind of looks like a B2000. How would that be true four-wheel steer? In your daily driver, unless something is broke, your two front tires don't steer independently of one another. That's true. But, hey, as we say, you can't discount it out of hand. What if that's the real speed secret? Hey, and now that you mention it, let's all be surprised that the Guliman doesn't have four steering servos, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. That way you can independently lock and independently steer. You can buy figures and accessories for dollhouse collectors and scales from 167 to 112. Yeah, you can. But finding a 10-inch tall action figure is not super common. I don't know what I think, because it's supposed to be like 1/6 scale, 1/7 scale, and it's just not that common. 12-inch, Barbie size, all day. I heard somewhere scale was more related to electronics, not physical scale. Well, scale in these is just people throwing numbers around. It's meaningless. It's absolutely... Toyota FJ40, scale 110, used under license, FMS. Okay, one of these things can be 1/10 scale. Unless my memories of the FJ are radically different from my memories of the Hilux. Because his roof is his door sill. These can't both be 10th scale. We did the rough math, and this thing is like 1/7 scale. Oh, Nico, you can't cut a Barbie in half. The problem is not the legs. You'd have to chop her through the abdomen. Because the height from it's the distance from the seat to the roof. The Barbie-sized figures, their head would have to go out through the roof. So if you run the roof off, you can run their head will be above the windshield, but you can run a full 12-size figure without a problem. FMS says that's because it's on their 1/10 scale crawler chassis. But even that doesn't hold water because this is a, what did I say it was? I've already forgotten. That's a 340 millimeter 340. So that's 3,400 millimeters divided by 25.4. That's a 134-inch wheelbase. And all of the wheelbases on this platform are basically the same. So, like, okay. I mean, I'm asking you, but it's semi-rhetorical. Okay, what cars have 134-inch wheelbase? 134-inch wheelbase. The 2023 Chevy Suburban has a 134-inch wheelbase. Yeah, Hilux would be 102, and that's 11.3, so not 110. But that's pretty close. You'd be talking about a 9-inch differential at full size. And honestly, what did his come out to? I never even measured. Yeah, he's about that. Yeah, like 11. He's like 285. But, so, like, at least get close. The real thing has a 90-inch wheelbase. Which one? This one or this one? Oh, yeah. We'll add another 10th scale. I still need to put on his little ladder. I got a whittle ladder. I got to put his whittle ladder on. There we go. Now, these two, pardon me, you behemoth. These two are fairly close, like scale-wise. Like they seem reasonably proportionate. So what was that? 340 times 7 divided by. So FJ40 should be 104-inch wheelbase. So 104 inches times 4 is 2641.6 divided by 340. Yeah, like 1/7, somewhere in the 1/7-ish scales. A TRX4 and a Slash are both 10th scale. No, Aaron, the more important one is that they say that the Hammer Ray and the Baja Ray are both sold as 10th scale. Pentaby is sitting too low in the rear. I think he's. Like, I think level would be right there. I think it's like that. Level there. That. Could stand the shock back up. I think it's leaned all the way over. Yeah. Could move the shock the shock needs to be moved to that hole right there. I can't reach that hole at all. I can't reach that bolt. His body has to be completely removed to get to that. That's why his battery is still trapped in there. FMS calls their Jimny a 1.6. Yeah, and it's even long. I think it's longer wheelbase than that. My dad has an 05 crew cab long bed Dodge Ram, 160 wheelbase. My Blazer is appropriately larger than my Hilux. Yeah, I think RC four-wheel drive, honestly, I think they get pretty close in terms of scale. Like, because 10th scale, well, look, touring cars and drift cars are 10th scale-ish. Like, some get real close. Last time I did the back of the napkin math, a TRX4 Defender is almost perfectly 8th scale to the real thing. Because if it was 10th scale, it would be like 9 feet tall and 8 feet wide. Yeah. As he points out, scale is a general thing. It doesn't mean anything. You used to be a 10th buggy or truggy or an 8th buggy or truggy, and it was racing divisions. Yeah. All I can figure is that there is something where, it's got to be a 10th scale. So we're going to sell these as a 10th scale. Too high in the front. What are you seeing? That is basically, as for whatever reason, I don't know why it won't compress anymore. Nothing is hitting, but I can't. Oh, okay. So, because of the caster flip and the behind the axle steering, I think I pointed it out before. The front upper link, so that guy right there, at rest, it rests on top of the BTA link. So in order to get his front end to droop more, or to compress more, see how it stops right there? It's because that link and that link are hitting each other right there. And I didn't change it because he has full articulation, but his front end sits right there at normal. So he can't overcompress. So if anything else, and also don't forget the slope of the building. Let's see. Oh God, it does help. If anything else, it's going to help on descending because it can't over collapse the front. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Hey, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. When I built model railway locomotives for exhibition, they were accurately built to 148, 17 and 1/4, but they were engineering miniatures, not mass-produced stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Power wagons in real life are way bigger than most trucks. Hmm? Yeah, don't change the links. Don't need to wake that demon up again. Oh, I'm definitely not. Is full squish on the front axle necessary? I don't think so. What is everybody seeing? For the love of Pete. Maybe it's a parallax thing? Okay. All right. Is it I know what it is. I see what it is now. It's because the rear fender is closer to the tire than the front fender. Look at his bed. I don't have do I? Okay. You see how level my bench is? We're cutting the bubble in half. It's perfectly, his bed is perfectly level to the bench. Yeah, Thomas saw it. It's the arches. This arch is higher than that one. He's not leaning at all. The bed, splitting the bubble. See the bubble? Splitting the bubble. This is level to the surface that it's sitting on. It's you guys are thinking it's like this. No, it's level. It's just that this, we can do it even easier this way. 20. About 14. Oh, yeah. The whole building leans that way. There is no foundation. It's built on pier blocks. Couldn't afford the concrete. It's built on. There was a foundation here before. That was. I don't know why the exposure is blowing out. It's being a real jerk. And it says it's in manual. I don't want it in manual. Standard. Rotation lock. Okay. It won't let me turn anything off. Is this better? Yeah, there we go. I have fixed it. Just in time. Little fella over there, part of a roof. Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. So, oh, Mr. Clark, cheap Tim Tin replacements currently on the market do not exist. I ordered a set of something really cheap. Let me dig down. So some inserts showed up on Amazon for like $9 for a full set, and I was like, oh, like it looks pretty close. They're like the most bizarre size. They're like 4.4 inches. I don't understand. And the inner part is, honestly, I think it's yoga block foam. It isn't that we need to find a replacement. It's that we need to find a way to cut up yoga blocks. I need to know how this was done. How do you do this? If I can do this, I can make inserts. But yeah, these don't work. And the Hobby Park ones are really clones of Prolines. Down to the fact that the foam is like over springy. It's like too springy. What are the range on the Injora Blue Class 1s? They'd be fine in like this. In that like 6-ish pound range, you'd be fine. Cut the outer half off of a step foam and wrap in a donut. Yeah, well, the thing is, hole saw and a foam wire trimmer. Yeah, I mean, I know what a hot knife is, and I know how the hot wire works, but do you see what I'm getting at? How they do this? How they do that? Like that's a tight fit. So, however they're cutting this removes no material. And if they're using an expensive machine to do it, why can't they use an expensive machine that does it better? Because better would be great. This is way too firm. This is more firm than the Injora rubber ones. Make a hot cylinder. Like, there aren't even tooling marks on the inside. It's just smooth. Would it be extruded? I don't think you can use a laser because I think these make like cyanide or something when you cut them with light. I got to make a new gate for a lady in the village tomorrow. I'm going to get her to buy me an Outrunner ESC and gearbox off of Amazon as payment. Nice. They use a hydraulic press on a blade board. There you go. There you go. How do I get one of those? Top speed guys use a tire lathe to cut down their foam tires to the exact size. Yeah, but that's just to shape down the outside. You can do that with anything in sandpaper. How to cut the foam into the size. All we need, we all know, you're all here. All we need is this. We need this. That's it. This tube, which, well, we don't need that rib on the inside. If I had a will and there were a way, there's definitely a cut line on there. This was cut. Something cut this out. You can see the rough edges from the cut. This is all we need. Yeah, knew it came from the workbench. The bevel. Yeah, it's basically a cutter, and it just goes in and cuts it. I could do that. Who lathes the tire foam? Well, pan car tires are just solid foam. So they would true the tires down to size and put the edges on them, because when you would buy the tires, they would have edges like this, just sharp edges, and they would true them down. A thin hole saw. CO2 laser is an option. Now, Aaron Schmidt is more speaking my language. Harbor Freight hydraulic press converted into a dangerous and sketchy new tool. Now we're on to something. I don't know. We'll because clearly Crawling Innovations is using the exact same technique and just charging a lot more money for it. This is not pan car shiz. I gotta tell you, as a person who has pan car tires right over there, this is not far off. These are real hard. There is no compression to these at all. And I don't see where these would be usable. Maybe there's some insulation for hot water pipes. Oh, we've definitely been looking. Because I feel like we as a small collective, I feel like we bought up all of the Tim Tins. Because they're just, they're nowhere. They're nowhere at all. I knew I'd find it. Yeah. Let me see. I would put the Duro on that. Jeez. Almost exactly the same. You could make that out of that. Now, I know they get into all sort of exotics in the compounds and whatnot. These are green dot, whatever that means. But yeah, that feel and this feel, this is a little bit softer than this one. But this is also significantly younger than this. This has been here for a long time. We're not talking about building a piano. This is a foam donut glued to a plastic wheel. And this is a foam plug that came out of a foam donut. They didn't put any space technology into this. There's nothing unobtainable about what this tire is made out of. So the notion that this is more similar to this than, say, it is similar to this, I don't think is a stretch of anyone's imagination. They're selling you 25 cents in foam for $25. That's how that works. This is from an old 12th scale, 12th scale pan car. What's the oldest thing? What's the oldest thing in the shed that's not you? Oh. Jeez. The worst part is it's probably me. No, I have to have something older in here. I've got a Stanley plane. I've got a Stanley hand plane that is old. Really old. That might be older than me. Jeez. I might be the oldest thing in here, honestly. I've got stuff from the 80s. That's not going to do it. Plenty of stuff from the 90s. That's also not going to do it. Hey, Antos is a name I've seen. And An Assumption is a name I've seen as well. I got a Peugeot. There's a 24-inch Peugeot bike up there, but that one's also from like the late 70s, early 80s. That's not as old as me. That Stanley hand plane is probably the oldest thing in here. Anything bought from Sears would be old considering they went out of business like 20 years ago. Yeah, but you're thinking in too small of terms. To be older than me, it has to be in its mid-50s. And, yeah, that is depressing, isn't it? I don't even like planes. I like them less than I like chisels. I'll use a chisel when I have to. What's the oldest RC thing? That bottle of Triflow is young. The bottle of Triflow that it replaced, though, was given to me by my grandfather. So, very old. The oldest RC thing? I might know. If I can find it. All right. This has to be the oldest. I feel like in terms of RC things, this has to be the oldest thing in here. I don't know if we can fit it all in the frame. That's not too bad. You can put a flag on the end of it, so you don't put somebody's eye out. And better still, look at that. All of our endpoint adjustments, everything. There's the little tool. Throttle trim. Those knobs are metal. This one is not the oldest one. My first one was an XL2P. This is the CS2P, which is the FM version. 27 band FM. And there's a button up there. How many crystals do I have? I don't know if I have any. This one's got crystal. This one's got a crystal in the module and in the receiver. I tried to hook this up because it will power up. I tried to hook this up, and no modern speed control will acknowledge this thing at all. I tried multiple ESCs to try to get them to calibrate, and it was not happening. The beauty of the CS2P is that the only way to set it down was like that, because that's how everybody would choose to set their radio down. And of course, this is the antenna you have to deal with inside the vehicle. And of course, 8 AA batteries in the grip. The next oldest is I have an Airtronics XL2P, not XL2P, Sport, MX Sport. I've got an MX Sport. Also 8 AA batteries. You need to use an Arduino to convert the analog to digital to run it with a new... Oh. Can you imagine how crap a crawler would be with a manual speed control? Somebody sent me in one to try to see if we can do a... demonetized. I saw him put the... Yeah, what is it on YouTube? You're not allowed to show anyone inserting the magazine. Demonetized. He's putting in the battery magazine. Yeah, somebody sent in a manual speed control, and I have been trying my very best to figure out how to even mount it into a vehicle to get it to work. And I haven't figured it out. I recall back in the day when we could only fly one plane at a time. It is indeed a California compliant magazine. It only holds 8 rounds. 8 AA rounds. I mean, some of it I miss. I mean, the tactile feel. Man, it was great. Those were the days. I still contend that the Airtronics M8, probably the best radio ever made. It just did everything. Put a trailer behind the crawler so when it catches fire. Yeah. The only issue with 27 megahertz is illegal in the UK, as that block of radio spectrum was reallocated for other uses. Oh. Oh, don't don't say my photographic memory for names and model numbers, because there are things like song lyrics and useless information like model names and numbers that I can retain for some reason, but I forget words that I'm trying to use because the brain is at odds with itself. What I can remember and what I fail to remember are often quite at opposite ends in the spectrum of what I need to remember. Oh, we are. Oh, we're at the 333s. I would have gotten a text by now from inside, but like I say, she had to go into the office today. She said she was going to be home by 3, but it's 3:33, and I haven't. Well, I can check the. You know what? I can check the camera. I haven't seen. Maybe she'd snuck in on me. I don't think she snuck in on me. Let me see. Nope, she's still not home. Imagine getting in trouble for the useless information I've retained. I have a TRX4 Sport and only have underdrive in the rear diff. Would it really benefit as a crawler with OD in the front? I just don't want to add speed to it. I get it. Now, Mr. Mason, I would recommend on a TRX4, go ahead and put the OD in the front. That's only going to take you to just under 20%. And that added 10% speed in the front, you only need to take 10% off of the pinion. So like if you had an 11 tooth, you put in a 10 and now you're going the same speed. If you got a 12, you put in about an 11, so on and so forth. Putting an overdrive in the front really only means having to take a tooth off the pinion. So unless you're running a 9, you'll be fine. Remember frequency clips? Yeah. I remember running 40 megahertz because everyone else was on 27 or 75. Nobody was ever on 27 FM. So I only ever had to have one set of crystals for the 27 FM. Swampers RC is on the way out. I've been breaking the law with my Traxxas TQ3. Yeah! Stick it to the man! Oh, yeah. I heard him. But it just kind of went with the cuckoo. I heard him, but it just kind of didn't register in my brain. So all of the usual stuff. Oh, all right. So for all of you, the most loyalist, you've been here this long, you get the sneak peek that everyone else will have to wait for. Because, as I mentioned, it rained for like not quite 36 hours. It rained for a full day and a bit. Coming up next week, I'm going out on the trails this week, but that'll be a member show. We got a couple tire tests coming up. We've got the Executioner coming up. There'll be 2 episodes of the Executioner. There will not be a video today. So the Executioner will be up. Hopefully I'll get good enough weather that I can finish Oops Class 1. And then there will be certainly the installment of that which you've all waited for. So because that is a thing that I have made. That is a thing that I have made. So, yeah, you always watch until the end. What if there's a post-credit scene? And this is why I don't understand the allure of 3000 kV and 4S, because this is a 3300 on 3S, and it's still pretty fast. And get a load of that. Would you get a load of that? And look at that. I said I was going to do it, and then I did it. Look at that. All nice. All nice. Body needs to be low. He's the angriest caterpillar, and I couldn't go with the other body. It fit too good. It fit too good. Also, I will leave you with this. As he sits in this configuration right now, you'll hear more about it in the video. That is 72% unsprung weight. 72%. We'll see how it goes. Oh, I got a party trick we can do on the way out. I just have to get it just right. You know how those guys balance rocks on rocks? See if I can get it. He will do a thing where he stands just like this. The Yeah Racing drive shafts are really nice. I can't quite get it today. I took a picture of it. I have a picture of it. I'll put the picture up in the video if I remember. Is he going to be green still? Yes, absolutely. He's going to be green. Oh, well, I mean, he'll do that one. but he would stand on his edge. So there he is. You'll see him soon. I'll see you soon. You'll find out all the bits and pieces when we get to the episode for it. So for now, I will bid you adieu. I'm going to go find my wife and get a coffee drink. I thank you all so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. In between now and when we meet again, please one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. Yeah, with 72% unsprung weight, he's definitely not going to tip over. So, spinning in, spinning out. Thanks, everybody. 12 drop frames today. I'll see you next time.